From zero to the ultimate dragon hero. Witness Deku's rise.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Quirkless Deku became Red Dragon Emperor and got trained by Issei movie. Before we start, please go support El Hero de la Luz for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Deku is a male. Quite a few years have passed. We supernatural beings had to learn to live in a world where powers appeared among human beings. But with that appeared a person whose power forced us to hide in fear of ending our lives. My time as the Sekiryu ended, but not the responsibility for the sacred gears. I just hope the new wielder can master this power before something bad happens. Clarifications. Izuku will be the new Sekiryu, but unlike other fics, Issei is not dead this time. Based on my stories, there is no betrayal by the girls to Issei. Izuku will have a harem with the girls from his school. The essence of the character will be respected, so Izuku will be a Quillis. He won't have the Ofa at the beginning, since if I give it to him he would be too OP. The Agi will be the same as in the series, only he distrusts the freckled one. Prologue. Issei's awakening. Narrates. Hello, I see you finally arrived. First I want to introduce myself to you. My name is Haidu Issei, and I am the ex-Sekiryu, the one who bears the title of the Dragon of Latent Truth. But I left that title behind a long time ago. You may wonder why you are no longer the Sekiryu. Well, it's something simple and I don't want you to start thinking badly. No, I wasn't betrayed or anything like that, but with the current situation, even I would think they gave me the sword. But that is not the case. Well, let me tell you everything that has happened up to the moment when I find myself in a dream of recovery. That's right, he's talking to my conscience, but that's normal for me. Remember, I have the flesh of the Great Red, the Dragon of Dreams, and all that is possible. Well, let me start where much of my information comes from. We sent Trihixa to the Void Zone so that all the Alliance leaders and major gods could eradicate that threat once and for all. During that time, a new faction appeared, the Hell faction, and the Azazel Cup events also occurred. Events that we managed to overcome with difficulty, and well, I finished second in that cup volley. My rival surpassed me in power, but it was just by a hair. After those events and an invasion of other beings, I managed to fulfill my dream of marrying the girls I love the most. If I told you the exact number of wives, I wouldn't be able to finish, since, throughout all these events, every girl I interacted with, helped, and fought alongside fell in love with me. So Ria's, my main wife and alpha of my harem, of course, with the help of my manager Ravel, established the number of members in my harem. But that came children and the days when I couldn't leave the room until I got each of them pregnant. My beloved Akeno was responsible for all of this. But well, I got sidetracked. After having my huge family and my home on Earth, there was an event that none of the leaders expected. On Earth, a child was born with a particular brilliance, one that showed a power very different from that of the underworld or the power of the sacred gear. It was a strange power that they called a quirk. And with that power, the chaos began. At first, we all thought this would be something innocent, something not to worry about, but as the powers began to appear, our anonymity in the human world began to diminish, and all because of one person. Out of nowhere a man appeared out of nowhere and began to steal and give this kind of power among humans, but when he attacked a fallen angel, thinking that his wings were his quirk, our lives were in danger. He, in his eagerness to have the power of the supernatural, began to kill each one of them, thinking that it would be possible to obtain the power, but when he realized that this would not be possible, he simply hunted us all down. The leaders, upon noticing this, voted to return to our own kingdoms, since the battles against this being were a 100% loss, since the power he had could not be compared, using so many abilities was a great disadvantage. I was one of the few who managed to hurt him, but the cost was that instead of stealing Drake's power from me, he simply left me with a wound that, to this day, has not healed. This guy was very interested in the power of my armor, which is why I was his greatest prey, but he never managed to get hold of it. This clearly alarmed everyone, and they decided to leave it up to the human race to solve the problem they themselves had discovered, hoping that those who would have sacred gear, being revealed by the same leaders, would decide to come with us, but people became obsessed with having both powers and declined that offer, a big mistake. Men, women and children who were also possessors of sacred gear were victims of that being in order to obtain the power that God gave to humans to protect themselves, but they would never obtain it. Gabriel, one of my wives, saw that every time a human who died with a sacred gear died, it automatically went to another newborn. She couldn't stand so many deaths caused by the tools her father created. So she came to the conclusion, and she supported the other leaders in finding a way to make the system no longer work. I still don't know how they managed to stop the system, but not destroy it. But this caused the sacred gears to stop appearing in the human world. Although I knew it was the right thing to do, this was wrong. Sacred gears were made to protect humanity, and my wives supported my point of view, but for them, protecting our family was paramount, which is why they also returned to the underworld and to my castle. Deep down I knew this was the right thing to do, but I was also human and seeing my people like that couldn't be ignored, so I spoke with Office, the Great Red and Drag, and we came to the conclusion that I could live even without having the sacred gear of the Sekiryu, since my power was much greater than it, and well, the truth is that before the fight against that guy, I had put aside the power of my partner. Thanks to a ritual I managed to free myself from my partner's power, even though I was weak after the fight I had, and well the price I'm paying is that I fell into a dream. I still don't know when I'll wake up, but the big red one has told me that my wives have not left me alone, that every day they visit me in my room waiting for me to wake up. You may wonder, why did I do such an action? Well, the God of the Bible created this power so that humans could defend themselves, and what I did was make the next bearer the one who would help his race against that being. I haven't even mentioned the name of this human demon yet. When he showed up at my house, which fortunately was empty, he called himself the king of villains, the demon king on earth, the one who is all for one, he called himself all for one. I fought alongside a scrawny kid who claimed to be that villain's brother. I just hope Drake finds the perfect person soon and defeats that guy. The room where this has begun to shine, it seems it's time for it to wake up. It's time. Pastillo to hide Issei. In a huge crimson room we see a group of girls standing around a huge bed where a man who looked to be about 40 years old was asleep. Beside him, a woman of enormous beauty, red hair and great figure was lying beside him. This woman was none other than Ria's Gremory, the former matriarch of the Gremory house, who was on her husband's chest. Ria's. Please my eyes, wake up. One-sama, let's let Issei-san rest, commented a blonde-haired woman. Ria's. Something tells me that today will be the day Asia wakes up, if so I want to be by her side. I'll be the first thing Anata sees when she wakes up. Ria's. I know you also want to see him awake Akeno, don't hide it with that attitude. The woman with jet black hair changed a fake smile to a real sad one. Akeno. I really miss it, she commented while knitting something. Ria's. Is that for Kurenai? Akeno. Yes, her son is about to turn 2 and I want to give him a handmade sweater. Ria's. How are the others? Asia. Well, each one continues with their work, they haven't arrived yet, in fact, because things in the factions are chaos. Akeno. With that guy called Afo on Earth, the faction territory collapsed due to overpopulation. That's why we must return to the human world, to my residence in the woods. The three women turned to see the person who spoke, it was that voice they had missed madly to hear it once more. Ria's. Ice my ice. The girl didn't think twice, she threw herself at him giving him lots of kisses and hugs. Akeno. Anata the woman was crying with happiness as she took the part that Ria's hadn't kissed yet and snuggled up to her side. Asia. Issei-san, it's a miracle from the Lord, the girl cried while holding her beloved's hands. Issei. I miss them too, I commented, giving each of them a kiss. At that moment the door opened, where about 17 more women had arrived at her lover's room and rushed at him. Issei. Please wait, you're going to kill me if you all rush at me, he said while moving his hands from side to side. Women. We don't care, they all responded in unison, crying with joy. A few minutes passed after each of his wives welcomed him back. Ria's. Ice, what do you mean by returning to the human world? Vali, as the leader of the underworld, has forbidden us from doing so. Issei. I know that, but I have my reasons for coming back. Zenobia. Which one would it be? At that moment the boy showed his current power, something that surprised the girls, since they didn't feel any particular energy. Asia. I don't feel Drake-sense power, the girl commented worriedly. Irina. Darling, did that guy steal your Drake power? Issei. Fortunately not, but the fight I had against him almost cost me my life, the brown-haired boy commented seriously, but that is not the reason why I no longer have Drake's power. Ravel. So what would it be? Issei. The power of the sacred gear was given by the God of the Bible so that people could protect themselves, so I let Drake search for its next possessor. Gabriel. But how would that be possible, Issei-kun? Remember that we modified Father's system so that there would no longer be any sacred gear in the world, I would no longer bear to see more deaths of innocents at the hands of that guy. Issei. I know that, my beautiful angel, but during the fight against Afo, I noticed that the power of the Sekiryu can be very helpful in defeating that guy, he said seriously, but changed his smile to a reassuring one. Trust our judgment. Ria's. Ours. My mother and my uncles, Ria's mother commented, a boy with a stoic look. Ria's. What time did they arrive? Behind the aforementioned boy were the other children of Issei. X. My sister said that father had woken up, the adult commented happily, plus my children wanted to see their grandfather. Ria's. But then how will we know when the new Sekiryu awakens? Issei. One of my wishes was that the person Drake chooses has the same sense of heroism that I had, he said with a smile. That is why it is my duty to go back to Earth and look for that person. Rias. If you go, of course we as your wives will go with you, his wife commented with a smile. Issei. Convincing them to stay is not an option, right? The adult commented. Elmenhold. Where shall we go? Gabriel. The first thing is to go to Vali and the other leaders to ask for permission. Issei. I know, but it will be easy to convince him, besides I also have the title of Mau, so I don't think he will have any problem. Don't be shy. We can see a young man with green hair at home, nursing a wound he had received. He looked in the mirror, where his overly skinny body was treating the scrapes and burns he had received. This time he really went too far, the boy commented as he put on a t-shirt to go to sleep. Izuku, come to the table, it's time for dinner, a voice was heard inside the house. Izuku. I'm coming, Mom, the boy replied as he left the bathroom. Nara Izuku. Hello, let me introduce myself, my name is Izuku Midoriya, I'm 14 years old and I'm in my last year of high school. You may not know it, but gifts appeared in this world a long time ago. Things have changed since a few centuries ago, when people like me lived in this world without a care. What do I mean by me? Unfortunately, I belong to a segment of the population that lacks power, or what we call quirk, which makes us look like the dregs of society. Here, if you have a quirk, you're worth as a person. If you don't have it, like I do, well, prepare to be the laughingstock, the weirdo in the room, the one who, to everyone else, is just a mistake, a useless person. At age 4, children go to the doctor to find out if they have a quirk and when it might manifest. In my case, when I got the results, my life changed abruptly. The man who was my best friend at the time, out of nowhere began to treat me badly, to be my punching bag, he denigrated me at every moment of my life. My mother, Inko Midoriya, who was always my support, started gaining weight out of worry, and I feel guilty for not being able to give me power of attorney. I have told him countless times that this is not his fault, but this only falls on deaf ears. My dream in life, well, I want to be a hero, to save everyone I can help, but it will only be that, a dream. Without a power to use, I would find this impossible, and everyone has told me so. The truth is that at this point I hope for a miracle in life so that I can fulfill my dream, otherwise I will have to accept my reality. End of narrative. Izuku's house. We see our green-haired man enjoying his food, but instead of focusing on the plate, his gaze seems scattered. Inko. What's up, son? You don't like what I made? Izuku. It's not that, Mom, everything is delicious. Inko. So what are you thinking about? Izuku. You know, he puts down his chopsticks and looks at his mother. Lately I've been dreaming about a crimson dragon. Inko. That's new. Izuku. I know, and every time I see him he tells me, I'll wake up soon, in a voice that's a little scary. Inko. Hey son, so many fights at school have already hurt you. Izuku. I don't fight. He said a little red, I just defend myself. Inko. Anyway, it's just a dream and this one can't hurt you, she said with a smile. Go and finish your dinner, you have classes tomorrow. Izuku. Yes, Mom, the boy commented as he finished eating. Izuku. What's all that about? Underworld. Ali. Of course not, Haidu, Issei said, an adult with silver hair and a beard, who was looking at his Mau companion. We had decreed, and after your result in that fight, that we would not get involved with humans anymore. Issei. I know, Vali, but something tells me that all this is about to change, that the time will finally come to return to the human world as we did before. But father, you must understand that would be dangerous, commented a fallen angel with several wings, who was looking at the brown-haired boy. Issei. Kurenai, son, I know it can be dangerous, but my human side also asks me to help my people. At that I turn to see the albino Vali, you also feel the same. Paint. Father, could you answer the following for me? Said a brown-haired angel who looked a lot like Irina. Issei. Claro, Shin. Shin. Why do you say you are no longer the Sekiryuite? Issei. That's the reason why I want to go to Earth. When the new Sekiryuite awakens, there will be no better person than me to train him in the path of hero. From the Iro Eki, that's my grandfather, commented a Redeed who was dressed in an old uniform from Kuo Academy. Issei. Yes, I say no. I look at the girl with a little annoyance. Shiryuki Gremory, don't say that. Shiryuki. But grandpa, that's true. Issei. Of course not, I don't want Drake to go through that stage of my youth. The other leaders, including his children, had a drop of sweat on the back of their necks. No, I want to help him have a good path in heroism, since the Great Red One made me have a dream. At that moment the leaders in the room became serious upon hearing this. Uraquiel. What kind of dream? Issei. The new Sekiryuite will be the one who can put an end to that human demon who is still on Earth, that Afo. X. That's true, as far as we understand, that guy is still alive. Irie. The thing is, we still don't know how he's managed to live for 100 years since those powers appeared. Issei. That's why Vali looked at his partner. I want to go to Earth. Vali. I think we have no other option, the albino commented with some resignation. Arrest him for wanting to betray the factions. Issei. What? Vali. It's a joke, he said with a mocking smile, causing the others to fall backwards. Seriously, if it's about this issue, and seeing that life returns to how it was before, you will go find and train the new carrier. Issei. Yeah, well it's time to. Rias. Wait a minute, like we told you, we'll go too. Issei. Rias. We no longer have matters that bind us to the factions. X, for example, is a good leader of the Gremory House. X. Even though they forced me. Rias. Details, the thing is that each of our children has taken our place, so we can go with you without any problem. Issei. I like that a lot, the brown-haired boy commented. Asia. Are we going to Otu-sama's house? Issei. Unfortunately not, the sad brown-haired boy commented. That place is where Afo attacked in his first encounters, so I decided that it is better to go to a nearby forest. There we can find a hidden mansion, so that guy does not locate us. Rias. Okay ma'am, let's do the things. We're leaving today. The brunette's wives left the room, leaving the brunette with a drop of sweat due to the attitude of his main wife. Issei. Shirayuki. Si abuelo. Issei. Tell your cousins that they will also be going to Earth for a while. Tell them to go to their grandmothers and prepare. Shirayuki. Yes, the girl quickly left the place. X. Wait a minute, Dad, I don't think. Issei. I will need all the help to find the new Sekirute, and they know how to detect Drake's energy, commented the brown-haired man. It will only be for a while, and I promise that everyone will return. The well-being of my family is the most important thing. Well, it's time for me to go, commented the brown-haired man who was leaving the room. X. Why do I feel like that girl will get into trouble? Karenia. Well, like father, like son, brother. X. Shut up, idiot. Kurenai. Who are you calling an idiot? Closet pervert, respect your older brother. Araquiel. Not again. Shin. They're going to start fighting again. X. Shut up, white dove. Shin. How did you tell me? Ali. It had to be Haidu, he said with resignation. Izuku's house. The green-haired man could be seen trying to sleep, but he was moving from side to side in his bed, apparently having a bad dream. Izuku's dream. The boy looked around, the place seemed to be on fire, a figure rose in the skies, while all around him was chaos. Izuku. What's all this? Get ready, you'll wake up soon. The scene changed to one showing a huge crimson-red dragon. You'll be the one to end all this. End of the dream. The green-haired boy woke up agitated as he removed the blankets that were on top of him. Izuku. I need to stop eating so much katsudon at night. Apparently it's a new era where quirks have erased the existence of supernatural beings. But the destiny that is coming. It will fall on a boy who will have this power. Chapter 1. The Lost Sacred Gear, The Encounter. New Haidu Mansion. We found ourselves in a wooded area which was located between two cities that the chestnut tree had not known. We see Issei walk out onto the balcony of his new room where all his wives were still asleep in the huge bed he had gotten. Issei. Old habits never change, he said as he looked inside the room and saw Zenobia sleeping in the shape of a starfish in arena on the floor while covering herself with a blanket. At that moment the door to the room slammed and the brunette went to open it. Issei. Que pasa, Shirayuki. Grandpa, just to let you know that my cousins and I will go to the different cities you mentioned in search of Uncle Drake's new carrier. Issei. Please, remember that with the power of the great red that I have inside me, I managed to make the Bastard gear stay in Japan so that the search would be easier. Shirayuki. Then the others and I left at that. The girl tried to look inside and noticed that some of her grandmothers were naked. You're still a perverted hero, Grandpa. Issei. Hey, I'm not a pervert, he poses to look cool. I'm a super pervert. The granddaughter just made a face of I don't believe you. Shirayuki. This takes points off your coolness, Grandpa, the girl commented as she walked down a hallway. Rias. Ainz, the Redeed hugged her husband from behind and kissed him on the cheek. Good morning, darling. Issei. My beautiful Rias. The brown-haired boy turned around and took her by the waist, bare skin, which caused a small moan. It's good to wake up again in this world, and more with this image. Rias. My beloved husband, always attentive to my body, she said with a small laugh. Issei. Not only that, every aspect of you fascinates me every day, I commented while giving her a kiss on the neck, something the girl enjoyed. Rias. Ainz. The brunette and the Redeed were in their own world when suddenly a light appeared in the room. Issei. Gabriel, what's wrong? Gabriel. I have bad news for you, honey. I did what you asked, and I think you're right. The brown-haired man changed his face from worried to serious. Issei. That's what I was afraid of. Riaz. What's up, honey? Issei. Wake up the others and we'll meet in the living room, my worst fear came true. Don't be shy. We're in a high school, where young people today are preparing for just one thing. Defining the future they truly want for themselves. We can see a boy running to the entrance, his breathing quickening with every step he took, with his expressive green hair, we could tell it was our quirkless young man named Izuku. Izuku? What a day to see the debut of a new heroine, he commented happily but agitatedly as he tried to arrive before they closed the door on him. She really showed off with her power to grow bigger, I should write it down in my notebook. He managed to get to the institute facilities and left to start his last year of school. The boy, already seated, was writing in his notebook, ignoring the commotion in his classroom, lost in his own world. Teacher. Okay kids, let's start your class for this last school year. He took several documents out of his briefcase. As you know, next year you will go to high school, and you must decide which path to take, but what am I saying, here everyone wants to be a hero. Students. Yes. They all shouted with excitement as they activated their quirk. Master. Calm down everyone, they know they can't activate their power. Ah, don't compare me to all these losers, I'll be the new one, commented a girl with ash blonde hair and seemed to have an angry mark all the time. They can't be compared to me. Teacher. From what I see, you will be applying to UA at the end of the year, right Miss Kitsumi? The girl put on a proud smile upon hearing this. Kitsumi. That's right, I've already passed the emulation exams and my grade is high, she commented without removing that smile. Student 1. Wow, so you're going to go big. Student 2. Getting into UA is impossible. They only accept 1% of all those who want to get into their hero department, I commented with a depressive aura. Student 2. So the toughest and the best anger at the UA, one more reason to take the exam. Student 1. Don't be so gullible, with your power and your grades it's likely that they will only accept you in a normal school, ha 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 ha. Student 2. What did you say, stupid? The two students began to fight, causing the teacher to hit himself in the face in frustration. Teacher. I also see that Midoriya will apply to UA. This clearly caught everyone's attention, including the girls, who changed her look from one of pride to one of anger. Kitsumi. How could you go to the same school as me, Deku? She said angrily while grabbing the boy's shirt, who was a bundle of nerves. Student 2. It's true, a useless quirkless like you has no chance of going to the prestigious UA, she said with an arrogant smile. Izuku. Yo Kat-chan, my dream is to be a hero and I want to go to the best school of all. Student 1. Without power I don't think you'll get beyond the front door, you're just useless. Kitsumi. You better think about it, idiot, someone like you doesn't have the chance to be a hero, she said as she threw him towards a wall with an explosion, causing the boy to be hurt. Teacher. Leave the boy alone, it's time to take the class, he commented as he went to the front of the classroom, leaving a sore Izuku as he stood up. The girl on the other hand took her seat, but she grabbed her chest and made a face of anguish. Kitsumi. It's for your safety, Izuku-kun. Later. Classes had ended and everyone was heading home. The seniors who didn't have any after-school activities were filling out some forms or going to the library to study. Izuku, who had a notebook by his side the whole time, which seemed to have been used many times, was keeping it in his backpack, or well that was the intention. Student 2. What do we have here? She said while quickly grabbing that notebook. Izuku. Please give that back to me, said the boy fearfully as he watched his notebook pass into the hands of the girl named Kitsumi. Kitsumi. Hero analysis for the future, wow, nerd. I see you have 13 things like this, I commented, pointing at the number on the cover. What can I expect from a nerd like you? Izuku. Poor favor Kat-chan Devu. Without being able to finish, the green-haired boy flew off to one side of the room where he stopped to wonder near a window. Kitsumi. Who told you to call me Deku? Student 1. You know, you should accept reality and give up on being a hero, the girl commented as she took the notebook. How disgusting, besides being useless, a stalker, look at how you drew the new heroine in your notebook. Kitsumi. What thing? The girl looked at that drawing and for a moment felt jealous when she saw that he had also drawn the new heroine. You know, this is the only thing you'll have from the world of heroes. The girls just laughed at that statement, causing the boy to lower his gaze. Kitsumi. I'll give you some advice, if you want to be a hero, jump off a building and pray to God that in your next life, you'll be reborn with a power, was the last thing he said as he exploded that one and threw her out the window. The other girls and boys in the room fell silent at that statement as they watched Kitsumi walk out of the room with her eyes downcast. Kitsumi. I didn't mean that. Without waiting for her friends, she ran out of the room, being chased by her friends. Amiga 1. Espera Kitsumi. The others just remained silent, looking at Izuku, who had his gaze lowered and was leaving the classroom towards the backyard, where his notebook was waiting for him and a water tank, where he ended up. In the city. We see our chestnut's granddaughter looking around, for her it was the first time she was in the human world. Shiryuki. Wow, the city is fantastic, the girl commented while drinking some soda and eating a banderilla, it's very different from the ones Obasama prepares. You should behave a little Shiryuki, remember what our mission is. Shiryuki. Don't be a party pooper and enjoy all this Hanani-chan, we won't be able to live it again if our grandfather returns us to the underworld, the girl commented while turning to look at the aforementioned. Besides, I've observed you and you don't stop looking at every boy who stands in front of us and you look at a specific area. Himejima work. She is the granddaughter of Haidu Issei and Akeno Himejima, daughter of Issei's first son. This girl has a great affinity with lightning, but to her father's misfortune, she brought out the perverted combination of both grandparents. Hana. You don't say that in public, Shirini, you've also been looking at the boys. Shiryuki. But at least I admit it, you look like Uncle Kurenai and you watch them like a stalker, a closet pervert. The girl, who simply nodded with a smile, continued walking in front of her cousin. They both call each other sisters, as they are only a few months apart in age. Both cousins walk through that city looking for signs of the energy that their grandfather emitted when he was the Sekiryu, since that was the mission of Issei's grandchildren. Hana. I hope we get lucky, the girl commented as she sat on a bench. Shiryuki. You'll see that, yes. At that, the girl turned to look at the sky and watched as a person passed above them and she could see that it seemed as if a piece of paper had gotten stuck in his feet. Wow, this world is not like the one our grandfather told us about, it's very different. A few minutes ago, with the freckled one. On a street that didn't look very busy, we saw our green-haired boy, whose freckles I forgot to mention, walking with his gaze lowered while holding that burnt notebook in his hand. Izuku. Kat-chan really went too far with it, the boy said to himself. He was so deep in his thoughts that he hadn't noticed someone or something following him behind him. Out of nowhere, a shadow covered him and trapped him in a way that made him unaware of what was happening. Your body, despite not having muscles, will be a good vessel to take revenge on that guy, said a voice that had covered the boy in a muddy substance. Don't resist and help me with my revenge. Izuku. Please, the boy's tears began to flow as he lost consciousness. Someone help me. Smash. That word Izuku managed to hear as he fell to the ground. Behind him there was a very muscular person with a pose of having hit his attacker, then he noticed how the entire street was covered in mud. Are you okay, young man? Said the man, who, due to the shadow of the place, could not show who he really was. Izuku. Yes, thank you for helping me. At that moment the boy managed to see the hero who had helped him, to get the best of surprises. It can't be you or Almight. Almight. That's right, young man, sorry for letting this guy attack you, but I've been following you. Izuku. That doesn't matter, you're Almight, please sign my notebook, he said excitedly while looking for it everywhere. Almight. Don't worry, young man, I've already signed it, he commented while showing 2 full pages with his signature. At that moment the blonde took an empty plastic bottle and began to collect the mud that remained on the ground to take it into the container. Once I finish cleaning the area and cap the bottle, I look at the young man in front of him. Almight. Well, it's time for me to go. Izuku. No, wait, I want to ask you something. Almight. I have to go, time is running out. Almight. Sorry, young man, but villains don't take breaks, and neither do I. It was a pleasure. Without waiting for the boy's response, he left the place thanks to a jump he made. Already in the skies, the blonde was grateful that he still had time to get somewhere and hide, but… Izuku? Help. The blonde looked down at his feet and noticed that on his lap, he had a boy who was holding on to him in such a way that his life depended on it. Almight. Young man, your fanaticism for heroes is extreme, please let go. Izuku. I won't do it, because if I do I'll fall. Almight. He's right, he commented while flying above Issei's granddaughters. Shiryuki. This world is really strange. Hana. Come on, we have to keep searching in the city, the girl commented as she got up from her seat. Current time. Izuku and All Might had landed on the roof of a building, the green-haired man breathing rapidly, having had a traumatic experience alongside his hero. Izuku. I thought I would die, he said while breathing rapidly. All Might. I seriously had to make a mandatory stop to get you safe. Well, I don't have more time, I have to go. Izuku. Please wait, the boy said pleadingly. All Might. No, I can't stay. Izuku. Can I become a hero? The hero stood still waiting for the green-haired man to finish his question, but of course this was involuntary. Izuku. Even without having a quirk? All Might. Sin on quirk. Izuku. Is it possible that someone without an individuality can be like you? All Might. Oh no, I'm out of time, damn it. The green-haired man had his gaze lowered as he continued speaking, which he didn't notice as a smoke began to surround the hero in front of him. Izuku. My whole life he's told me that I should stay in my own reality, that if I don't have power it's better for me to step aside, but I know that all I want is to help people. The smoke had completely covered the hero. Izuku. That's why I want to be someone like you even without a quirk, I want to save people with a smile, to erase the fear. The boy looked up to see his hero in front of him, the smoke had completely dissipated. I want to be a better hero than you. The boy put on a smile, which changed to an expression of terror when he saw a skinny boy with blood in his mouth. It seemed that death was about to claim him. Izuku. Katsumi. We see the girl thoughtful as she walked. Behind her came two of her friends who were accompanied by three boys. Boy 1. Come on Katsumi, let's have some ice cream and then we'll have fun. Girl 2. That sounds great, how about we go to karaoke, it's more private. Katsumi. Don't bother me, damn extras, the girl commented angrily while kicking a plastic bottle. Girl 1. What's wrong? Boy 3. I don't know, she's been upset since we saw them at the school exit. Girl 2. It must be because of what he said to Deku, said the girl with some disinterest. Katsumi. TSK, the girl turned her gaze to the other side while lowering her gaze. It's just nonsense, she said in a low voice while exploding a can near her. The boys were very unsure of what he was doing, but a shadow covered all the boys who were walking, which the others noticed and ran away. Katsumi. What's wrong? Mudman. You'll be perfect to defeat that guy, said the muddy mass that covered the girl, who was in shock for a few moments. Issei's child. We see our now grown brown-haired boy in a conference room where his wives were, and in front of them was a huge television. At that moment the screen lit up showing the new faction leaders, among them were Vali, Kurenai, Vider, Hephaestus, Kunu. Vali. Okay Haidu, now what is this meeting for? He said with a tired tone and had a baby on his neck. Issei. Did they leave the grandson for you to take care of? The boy asked with grace when he saw the little baby climbing on his head. Kurenai. Did something bad happen to Hana? Akeno. Ara, don't worry son, she and Shirayuki are together looking for the new carrier. Vider. So have you found him yet? Issei. Not yet, well first of all the leaders should already be aware of the issue that happened, why I am no longer the Sekirute. Hephaestus. From what we know you were badly hurt against that guy called Afo, but what we don't know is how it happened. Issei. It's something I didn't want to believe could happen, but most likely it will, and my dear Gabriel confirmed it to me. Kunu. I knew someone was missing from the connection. Issei. Gabriel, please. Gabriel. Of course Anata, commented the beautiful angel as she stood in front of the leaders. As you know, the weapons that my father created for humanity to defend itself are the sacred gear, and these are only for the descendants of Adam and Eve. Hephaestus. Humans. Gabriel. Correct, but the system had a flaw, and it is that the weapons were delivered randomly, not as if one had a noble heart or anything like that, they were simply assigned to people. The others nodded at what the angel said, but after the appearance of those powers called quirks, my father's weapons became very confused with this, and a person appeared with a fearsome power. Vider. Afo. Gabriel. Yes, that being began to steal and kill sacred gear holders, believing they were that type of quirk, since he only wanted to rule humans by stealing and giving away their powers. That's why when Anata fought that guy we thought it would be something simple, but that was our mistake. Ali. What we know is that in a fight against that guy, he mortally wounded Haidu, leaving him in a delicate state, but what does that have to do with his power? Gabriel. At first we thought that his powers were too much to fight against Anata, and seeing that many humans died because they possessed the sacred gear, and since these were not removed by those spells made by the renegade fallen angels of Kakabiel, the weapon returned to the system. A new character appeared on the screen, or rather one of Issei's children. Arena. Shin, where were you? Shin. I'm sorry mother, but my daughter just left for father's house to help in the search for the carrier. What were you up to? Kurenai. They told us about the sacred gear. Shin. They already said that we haven't found the true Longinus. Hearing this, he alerted everyone present because that spear was feared for the simple fact of killing the gods. Ali. That's bad. What do you mean the weapon Cao possessed hasn't returned to the system? Issei. That's why we called this meeting, we've thought a lot and how they managed to hurt me, and that being has the true spear in his possession. Rias. But Ice, during your fight while we were guarding the house, we never noticed that guy materialize the sacred gear. Issei. I know, but I thought that he unconsciously used it. His desire to obtain Drake made the power of God's wish activate, but my fear is that so much evil has corrupted the spear and the power of God. Ali. That could be a dilemma if that guy has so many powers besides the power to kill gods. Issei. That's why I must quickly find the wielder of drag. Even with my enormous power I could handle that guy, but the fact that he uses the power of the spear unconsciously. Kurenai. You might end up dead. Issei. I want to help humanity against this being, but I also don't want to die trying, that's why we need the new carrier to come out. At that moment a magic circle appeared, showing X's daughter in the middle. Shiryuki. We found him, Grandpa, but you need to come to Musatafu City quickly, said the girl with a surprised attitude. Issei. What happened? Did something bad happen to him? Shiryuki. When you get here we'll tell you, in fact, the boy has fainted. Issei. Okay, I'm going there, the brown-haired boy commented as he left the room. Ikeno. There are some things that don't change. Ali. That doesn't matter, what matters is that Gabriel, please confirm your theory. Gabriel. Yes, I'll take care of it. Ali. Well, I'll leave you to. Vali's face turned green, this kid is already made. Without further ado, the others disconnected, leaving the girls in the living room. Rias. So boy. Ikeno. And I was on Hana's lap. Asia. But what happened to make you call urgently? Ravel. Well, what we know now is that if you use your powers in public and without a hero license, you could go to jail. Kaneko. I say that's what happened, commented the beautiful Nekomata. Rias. We must wait and see what happens. Moment before. We see Izuku alone on the roof looking at Almight, who had told him his secret and answered his question. His gaze was now empty. Izuku. I'm just useless. Memory. Almight. Sorry young man, but you can't be a hero, it's better if you dedicate yourself to being a police officer or a firefighter, heroes of everyday life, who, despite not being so admired, have a great responsibility. End of the memory. Izuku. I knew it, it's just a damn dream I have of being a hero, without a power I can't save anyone. The boy was walking back home with his eyes lowered when he passed by a crowd watching a crisis scene. Izuku. What's wrong? Citizen 1. A girl is held hostage by a mud mass, and the heroes have been unable to help her. Izuku, filled with curiosity, went to see what was happening, but his look of curiosity turned into one of terror. Izuku. Kat-chan. In front of him, his childhood friend, that person who after knowing what his quirk was and bothered him, was now in a dangerous situation. Citizen 2. Let the heroes do something, that girl won't be able to stand it. Random hero. Calm down, citizen, we're waiting for a hero who's the right fit for the situation. The green-haired boy looked at the scene in horror, seeing how his friend desperately fought to get out of that situation. At that moment their gazes crossed and a tear of terror came out. Izuku. I can't keep watching this without thinking here and to where the girl was and somehow help her out of that situation. Think of the power to save her and it will manifest itself, was the voice he heard from within him. At the end of the crowd was All Might in his skinny form. He looked helplessly and remembered the conversation he had with that boy he met who abruptly took away his dream. Even so, he went to help the person in danger. All Might. I'm pathetic. In the middle of the people, Shiryuki and Hana watched that scene. Hana. Our hero child comes to the rescue. Shiryuki. They should help him, she said with sadness, seeing the boy running without any weapon. Izuku. Damn it, leave her alone. He flexed his left arm with the purpose of hitting the mud. You must desire it, desire that power to help her, think about it and release it. In Izuku's hand it began to glow a crimson color, which caught the attention of Issei's granddaughters and All Might himself. Hana. Ni-san. Shiryuki. I know it's him. Izuku. Let her go, villain. At that moment, a claw-like glove formed on the green-haired man's fist, surprising Kitsumi herself, who looked at that in amazement. Kitsumi. Has a quirk. The boy hit the muddy substance, then unconsciously threw a ray that disintegrated the mass. Hero 3. What happened? Hero 1. I'll kill him. All Might. Shonen. The girls looked at each other and nodded, so that one of them took the boy who fainted after launching that attack, and another raised her hand to throw a fact that covered most of the people, except for one. All Might. What just happened? He asked the air when he saw that everyone present was unconscious, and then slowly woke up. Kitsumi. What? Where am I? Hero 1. What are we doing here? Hero 2. It's not obvious, we're here to give our autograph. Citizen. Look, they are the heroes. All the people cheered for the heroes who were there, leaving All Might with a lot of doubt, who left the area in search of the boy. Current time. Shiryuki and Hana were in the park with a passed out Izuku, lying on Hana's legs. At that moment Issei appeared from a magic circle. Issei. You know, if your father sees this scene I'll have to look for the drag wielder again. Hana. He must not find out, Grandpa, you fufu. Issei. Just like your grandmother, he said with a smile. Shiryuki. What do we do with him? Issei. We must take him to the mansion, we will have a talk with this boy. The three of them didn't notice how a skinny guy went through that arch looking for the boy. Despite the action he did, he saw something in him, that sense of heroism. Almight. Shonen, he said worriedly when he saw that Issei took him and carried him like a bundle, then disappeared from the place. Where did he go? This was the encounter between Izuku and a new world that will open his dream once again. Chapter 2. A New World, Training. New Haidu Mansion. It was afternoon in the home of Issei and his wives and some of his granddaughters. While the women drank some tea, trained or talked about the new things they would do in the human world now that they have returned. Asia. I already want to see the new city in this region that we got from Japan. Hiroka. It will be fun to see all that Quirk stuff. I even think we'll be able to use our power without any restrictions. Gabriel. I doubt it, he commented as he arrived with a baby in his arms. Quirks are regulated, and if you don't have what they call a hero license, we can't use our powers. Rias. Wow, this world has a lot of restrictions, the Deity commented while drinking some tea. At that moment the chestnut tree appeared with his granddaughters and was carrying a person like a sack. It could be deduced that it was a boy since he was wearing a school uniform. Akeno. I see you have arrived, dear, commented Akeno, who gave her a kiss on the lips. Good job, Hana. Hana, thank you, Grandma. Zenovia. Who is the boy, Issei? Said the blue-haired girl who arrived with Irina, who despite being adults were wearing sportswear that made their bodies stand out in such a way that the brown-haired girl just admired the sight. Issei. Dear friends, I want to introduce you to the new drag wielder, he said as he dropped the boy, who was still fainted. Asia. Issei, and the blonde pointed at the poor boy lying on the ground, which the brown-haired boy turned to see and just gave a sigh of resignation. Issei. Well, first wake up and then I'll introduce you, the brown-haired boy commented as he went inside the house. By the way, I'm a little hungry. Roigun. I've already made dinner, if you want, go to the table while one of my servants takes the boy to lie down a bit. Issei. Thank you, my life, commented the brown-haired boy while he took the pink-haired girl by the waist and stole a kiss from her. Roigun. Okay, at that moment a pair of demons appeared in front of the girl. Please go drop him off at the room on the 3rd floor. The servants nodded and took the green-haired man away, who was still unconscious. A couple of hours passed, the green-haired boy began to show signs that he was about to wake up. Izuku. View of the boy stretched out, still half asleep. How well I slept, what a strange dream, he said to himself. I dreamed that my Quirk woke up and it had life. You're not far from reality, said a voice in the room, causing the boy to open his eyes suddenly. Izuku. Who said that? At that moment the light in the room came on and two girls were standing in the doorway, one with red hair and the other with black hair. Shiryuki. I see you finally woke up, a girl commented calmly. Hana. The new carrier is really cute. Izuku. Carrier. At that moment his neurons finally reacted. He wasn't in his room, he was in a room that could easily fit twice his house in it. Where am I? Shiryuki. You're at my grandparents' house. We brought you the moment you fainted after the fight you had with the Mudman. Hana. We are in the middle of the mountains between the cities of Kamino and Musatafu. Hearing this, the green-haired man's eyes opened suddenly. Izuku. How did I get here? Shiryuki. We will answer all your questions downstairs, so let's go right away, the girl commented as she left the room. Hana. Come on, I'll wait for you, she commented while the green-haired man took his jacket that was on the side. Izuku followed the girls toward an elevator, which was strange. What was an elevator doing in a house? The moment he entered, he was shocked to see the number of levels in that vehicle. Izuku. 8 floors, he said in a low voice. Hana. That's just the top, there are also 8 basement levels. For the green-haired man's jaw dropped to the floor upon hearing. The guys arrived at the ground floor and led the green-haired man to a huge room where a bunch of women were surrounding a brunette with a goatee. Issei. It's good that you've woken up, she said while the others looked at her calmly. Izuku. Boo, good afternoon, he commented nervously as he bowed to the ground. Issei. This we don't do that here, he said with a drop of sweat on his neck. Izuku. I'm sorry, he replied with the same nervousness he had. Excuse me, but what am I doing here? Issei. First of all, he looked at the freckled man's left hand. Drag, it's time for you to go out. At that moment a green jewel appeared on the left hand, surprising the freckled man greatly. Izuku. Do I have a quirk? Drag. Hey buddy, haven't seen you in a while. Izuku. And talk. Issei. You see boy, that is not a quirk. The freckled boy became sad upon hearing this. It is something more powerful and versatile than those new powers. Izuku. But if that's the case, then what is this? He asked, pointing at the jewel in his hand. Rias. Tell me. Izuku. Izuku, my name is Izuku Midoriya. Rias. Tell me Midoriya-san, do you believe in the supernatural? Izuku. Huh? At that moment everyone made their wings present, most of the girls had demon wings, others had white wings, others black, but the one who really stood out was Issei, who had dragon wings coming out of his back. Izuku. Boo 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 boo. Issei. We are supernatural beings and what you have in your hand is a weapon that the god of the Bible created so that humans could defend themselves from this type of world. The freckled man's eyes popped out of their sockets, his mouth fell to the floor from the shock of this new news. Izuku. What do you want from a boy without a quirk? Issei. So there are still prejudices against those without quirks, just when heroes among humans. Izuku. Him. Issei. I'll tell you that later, now I want you to listen to me, said the man seriously, while taking a little whiskey that was near him. What you have in your hands is a power capable of killing the gods. That. Izuku. Gods. So there are gods too, like the Japanese and the Greeks. Asia. That's right, the supernatural world is vast. Izuku. Wow, I don't know if this is a dream, but that would be something interesting, to see the gods that exist in the world and ask one of them to give me a quirk, with that Kitsumi for sure. The others had a huge drop of sweat when they heard him start to murmur. Hana. It's cute, she said with a somewhat mischievous smile. Shiryuki. Do you think so? She asked while looking at him, but in a way she found it funny how he looked at the ceiling while he was talking. Issei. Well, first of all, let me tell you about the power you have and who your new partner is. Izuku. That's right, this thing has a life. Greg. Thing. Let me tell you boy, you have been fortunate enough to be the bearer of one of the most powerful dragons in all of history. Issei. The fourth most powerful dragon. Greg. What did you say, breast lover? Issei. I remind you that you are the Oppai dragon. Izuku. Oppai. Greg. Hey, we said you wouldn't use that nickname again. Issei. You started it at that. He received a blow from the Deity and he regained his seriousness anyway. Let me tell you what the supernatural world is and the responsibility you will have. At that, the chestnut tree began its talk about the supernatural world, the war it went through against Cluppeth, the fight against the beast of the apocalypse, and the sacrifice of the leaders at that time, the fight with the gods and powerful beings during the Azazel Cup, the truce and end of the fight between the celestial dragons, during the final of the Azazel Cup, and the fight against beings from another dimension that had arrived. The green-haired boy was impressed to hear the power the brunette had obtained during all those events and the 2 times he had died, as well as the extent of the power he would obtain. Izuku. Can I reach that? Issei. With proper training I think so, the brown-haired boy commented. Izuku. So can I be a hero? Roswis. Hero. Issei. With this power you can be the hero that people truly need against that guy. Izuku. What kind? Issei. It's not time to tell you about him yet, said the boy seriously while touching his rib. Greg. That's right, buddy, we must first train your body so that you can withstand my power. Izuku. Boo, well, I want to help everyone with a smile, and if I need to train for it I will. Issei. Good. At that moment the brown-haired boy stood in front of the boy and began to look at his arms, lifting his shirt, causing him to blush at the action. You really need some training, or you won't be able to activate Drake's power, at least the first armor. Izuku. Am I that weak? Issei. We should check that first. I want you to think about expelling all the power in your left hand. Izuku. How do I do that? Greg. Remember the feeling you felt the moment you saved that girl. At that moment, he remembered seeing Kitsumi, who was crying out of fear for the situation she was in, her anger, and above all her sense of protecting the person became present once again. Issei. Not bad, kid, he commented, seeing the glove he was wearing. Rias. It's the Sekiryute's glove, not the appearance of a twice critical. Izuku. What does this mean? He asked when he saw that she was wearing the same glove that he used to help his friend. Issei. You have potential. Kitty walked away and started creating a circle in his hand where he made himself present. Izuku. That's Musatufu City, but how? Issei. I'm checking the area to see where to train you. I assume you're still attending school. Izuku. Yes, my dream is to go to the best hero school, UA. Issei. We haven't been in this world for a while, so I imagine a lot of things have changed, but well, if that's your goal, we'll help you achieve it. Izuku. Really? Issei. This is complicated, I don't see a suitable area for your training. Shiryuki. Grandpa, while we were searching I saw a beach full of garbage, I even felt sorry for it and was going to clean it with magic, but that place could be good for training. Issei. That idea doesn't sound bad. At that moment a wall clock was heard. 11 p.m. Wow, time flies. Izuku. Did he say 11? Issei. Yes, poor. Izuku. I have to go home or my mom will kill me for being so late home. At that moment the boy ran out of the living room to the door. A few minutes later he returned. How did I get here? Everyone in the room stepped back upon hearing this. Issei. I really must train you, child. At that he looked at his red-haired granddaughter. Please Shiryuki, take him back to the park where we found him. Shiryuki. Yes, grandfather. Issei. Be attentive, one of my wife's relatives will send you an invitation to begin your training. Izuku. Okay sir, I'll be waiting for the message from he said, handcuffs. Issei. There's a lot you have to learn, boy. Izuku. But polygamy is ill. At that moment the boy simply disappeared from the place by means of a magic circle that had appeared at his feet and that he had not noticed. Issei. Okay, I'll see that beach tomorrow. Ikeno. He seems like a nice boy. Issei. But very naive. Irina. You were also naive in the first months of being the Sekiruyuite, you have to give him the chance. Issei. Yeah, I think you have raw. What do you mean naive? Rias. She leaned on her back. Just remember that idiot trainer and you accepted her first date. The brunette just looked at the floor in shame, since what he said was true, he himself had fallen into the trap of the one who was his first date. Issei. Well, it's better to rest, tomorrow we'll have a big day. Park. The green-haired man had appeared in the same place where Issei and his granddaughters had taken him. Izuku. This is all weird. Greg. Well, considering there are more worlds than you know, but you have to get used to it kid, there really is a weight on your shoulders. Izuku. What support? Greg. You'll get used to it. Izuku. I better go home or else I'll be in trouble. Greg. I don't think it's a bad thing that you're a little late coming home. Izuku. You don't know my mother, he said with a drop of sweat. Greg. What's the worst that can happen? Izuku's house. The green-haired boy was about to get home when he noticed that there were many blue and red lights all over the place. My little Izuku is not here. Police 1. Calm down ma'am, we have to wait a few hours for. Izuku's mother. I want you to please look for my baby. A chubby-looking lady with green hair was crying like a waterfall, causing her tears to wet more than one person. Izuku. I told you, he said to his left hand who didn't say anything else. Policeman 2. Look, there's the boy, he said, pointing at our protagonist who had a complicated smile. Izuku's mother. My baby. She ran to the green-haired boy to receive a hug from him and then. Izuku. Ouch, the boy fell to the ground from a blow from his mother. The police were stunned to see her reaction. Izuku's mother. You're in serious trouble, young man. How could you be out on the street late at night? Police officer 1. Ma'am. Izuku's mother. Inko, Midoriya Inko. Police officer 1. Okay, Mrs. Midoriya, we're leaving. Inko. Thank you, officers, the green-haired girl commented while dragging Izuku by the ear. You're in trouble, young man. How could you scare me like that? Izuku. Wait, mom. The mother managed to get the young man up to the apartment while the others looked at him with a little sadness. Already at home. We see the green-haired boy with his gaze lowered and kneeling. His mother was crying with anger because for her this was an act of rebellion. Inko. How could you be out at this hour, son? You don't know how worried I've been about you. Izuku. I'm sorry, mom, said the boy sadly. At that moment his mother hugged him, thinking about the worst that could happen to him. Inko. Please don't make me go through this worry, the lady commented. She knew about the abuse her son received at school, so that and the remorse of not giving her son a quirk made the woman gain a few extra pounds. This was noticeable since in the living room there was a photo of her younger and thinner. Izuku. Today was a crazy day, the boy commented a little happily. I finally woke up my quirk. He said this, making the crimson glove appear, which surprised his mother a lot. Inko. What? Greg. I'm not a quirk, said the dragon annoyed. Izuku. Who said that? Greg. Mate, we share the same mental space, so don't think it's strange that we can communicate through telepathy. Izuku. Amazing. Inko. Is that really your quirk? She asked, bringing the freckled boy back to the conversation with his mother. Izuku. Yes mom, it's my power, I finally woke it up, he said enthusiastically. With this I can go to UA and be a hero. These words sank into his mother's heart, causing her to begin to cry and hug him in a maternal manner. Inko. Forgive me for not believing in you, she said with pain in her voice, but then she turned to look at him and put on the warmest smile she had ever given him. I know you will be a great hero. The freckled boy cried at his mother's words, which caused him to smile. Polluted beach. We see our op-eyed dragon looking at the beach that his granddaughters had found. Issei. This place will be perfect for your training, he commented in a low voice, while feeling the sea breeze and a banana peel fell on his face. It is urgent that they clean the place. Shiryuki. Is it perfect for your training? Issei. Just the physical, for magic and everything else it would be best to take him to the underworld. Hana. By the way, grandpa, will it turn him into a demon? The brunette looked at his granddaughter with a knowing smile and they both looked at the redeed. Shiryuki. What? Issei. Well, I don't have any demonic pieces left and great for your father that you just received yours. Hana. And so far you've only used the queen, she commented while pointing to herself. Shiryuki. You won't think about. Issei. It will be a great opportunity to have the Sekiryu under the Grimoire mantle again. Hana. Also, cute Izuku looks like he'll be a good companion. Iridide looked away and just blushed. Shiryuki. It will depend on your training. Issei. That's how it is said. Well, in the morning we will go for the boy, and on this occasion a seagull gave him an unexpected gift on his head, which caused his granddaughters to laugh quickly. The faster you clean this beach the better, said the brown-haired boy angrily, while he and the girls disappeared from the place. The next day. A new day had begun, the adults were going to work, the children were getting ready to go to school, and we see our green-haired protagonist cover his face as the sunlight hit him. Izuku. I want to sleep for 5 more minutes, said the boy half asleep as he went to his window and closed the curtains, but what he didn't expect was to fall from a height of 3 meters towards the sand. What's wrong? The impact was enough to wake him up, to see that he wasn't in his room or even in his house, but that he was in front of a beach. Izuku? How? How did I get here? Issei. Good morning, Sleeping Beauty, commented the one standing next to her while he had his usual sportswear on. Izuku. Lord Issei, where are we? Issei. You don't recognize it, this is your city's polluted beach. The green-haired boy didn't understand how he got to that place, he was supposed to be in his bed sleeping. Izuku. But how? Issei. Remember what happened yesterday? Izuku. Yes, I arrived home, the police surrounded my house because they thought I had disappeared, and an officer gave me a sheet. The brown-haired man just smiled at what his successor said. Issei. Well, with that paper we are giving you a small seal, and with that I can go see you and bring you to this place, said the brown-haired man with such simplicity. Now it is time to start your training. Izuku. What time is it? Issei. It's 5 in the morning. Izuku. Why do I wake up feeling cold? The boy asked angrily. Issei. You want to be a hero, right? Then we must focus on training your body and mind for what's coming. The first thing is to make sure your body is ideal for withstanding Drake's power and using the first armor. At that moment the chestnut tree made the first armor he was talking about appear. Drake. You still have a bit of my power. Issei. Well, with the title I have, everything is possible. At that moment the armor disappeared. Now, I know that you go to school, and for you to continue your career as a hero you must have good grades, so I will ask for help. At that moment a woman with a great body, silver hair and who was wearing a teacher's outfit made her appearance. She is one of my wives, her name is Roswis. Roswis. It's a pleasure. Issei. She will help you in the evenings after school to review the lessons you saw with more advanced problems. Izuku. What? Issei. In the mornings and until I see that you have the right body, we will train in this place. Izuku. What will the training be like? Issei. From 5 to 7 you will clean this whole place. He pointed at the huge dump it had become. Izuku. It won't be easier with magic or destroying it. Issei. That would be the simple thing, but it is of no use for your training. As I said, you will come in the morning to clean everything with your hands, and in the afternoon I will begin to teach you basic fighting movements. At night you and my Ross will go to the mansion's library to study. Izuku. But how do I explain this to my mother? She really cares a lot about my well-being. Issei. That's easily fixed. At that he looked at his wife who nodded. She looked at the green-haired man, and at her feet a magic circle appeared. This caused her nightclothes to change into sportswear. Let's not waste any more time and start moving everything you can with your hands towards the containers at the top. The freckled man just exhaled at that and without saying another word began his new training. Time skip. It has been almost 10 months since Izuku, the new drag wielder, had met his predecessor Issei and with his help began his hellish training of the boy. The first month was the worst of all, as it began with arduous physical and mental training. The first was to clean the entire beach as instructed. His muscles finally began to work as he dragged, carried, or pushed the heaviest trash there was. In the afternoons after lunch, the boy's mother would tell him he was going to train for the exam, which was true, but the training consisted of hand-to-hand combat. The person in charge of this training was the brunette's wife, Shirin, who was merciless and beat the boy so his bones would begin to withstand each impact. After the physical training, Roswis, in addition to urging him to complete his homework correctly and quickly, would give him more complicated problems than those he had looked up at home or those in the homework itself. This was how the boy's first 3 months were. When Issei saw that his body was ready to begin heavier training, he asked for the support of his wife and Shirin's sister, Kuroka. Thanks to the seal she possessed, she made the green-haired boy's clothes weigh more than they should during training. This made things more difficult for him in his training. Even so he didn't complain and continued cleaning in the mornings. From accumulated bags he carried, he made way for the huge refrigerators, stoves and disassembled cars that were thrown around the place. In the 5th month, magic training began. Akeno, a beautiful hybrid of a demon and a fallen angel, was merciless as she taught him how to use Drake's power through his glove. Her lessons focused on how to draw dragon energy from his sacred gear. He was also guided by Drake. The classes increased when they went from middle school lessons to senior high school lessons. By the 8th month, Izuku and Issei had a conversation with Drake, who said that to increase his resistance, he should give up a part of his body. The green-haired man gave up his arm, causing it to turn into a claw. With the help of Asia, his wife whose power was to heal, and Akeno, they managed to hide the true form of his hand. At this time, it was time for Issei to intervene in his training, and they began his combat lessons. It is worth mentioning that, during all this time, Shiryuki and Hana helped with the boy's training, healed him when his wounds were minor, and each of them began to open up more to the green-haired boy, causing a friendship to grow more each day. Hana didn't mince words and told him that she found him very interesting despite his shyness. This of course made the green-haired man begin to gain more self-confidence, and with Zenovia's help, his self-esteem increased considerably. She gave him lessons on how not to be a coward, leading him to the worst parts of the human underworld. On the other hand, Shiryuki, who would be his new mistress, had the same feeling that his grandmother had with his grandfather when they met. At first, she saw him as a curious and somewhat clumsy being, but as they got to know each other, she began to see him more as a friend and confidant, hoping that this could lead to something else. Now we find ourselves at what used to be the dump, now a beautiful beach where tourists and locals were grateful for the altruistic act some stranger did to clean all this up. The green-haired and brown-haired boy was in front of the beach, next to him his granddaughter Shiryuki was also with them. Izuku. Good morning teacher, what are we going to do today? Issei. Don't tell me you don't know what day it is today. Izuku. It's Saturday, no, the UA exam. Issei. For a smart kid, you can be a fool sometimes. The green-haired boy was dying of embarrassment as he went from being a broccoli to a strawberry. Issei. Anyway, we're calling you today for a reason. The girl with a smile took out her box of demonic pieces, where except for the queen piece, she had the other pieces ready to use. Izuku. I see that to bring out Drake's greatest potential, one option is to become a demon. Issei. It is not mandatory, there is also the system of heaven with the cards or the dice of the fallen, but throughout history, great carriers of Drake have either been humans who have completely dragonified their body, or with the help of supernatural beings as it was in my case, the power of this increased. Shiryuki. Please, would you be part of my peerage? The green-haired man thought about it a lot, since that meant he would see his loved ones die, but if he couldn't protect them, the result would be the same. Izuku. Fine, I accept, I say with a smile, causing a small blush in the girl. She performed the ritual for reincarnation. The girl took her complete pieces out of her box, hoping to know what their rank would be. At that moment the 8 pawn pieces went straight towards the green-haired boy, and at the end, she gave him a small kiss on the cheek. Izuku. Was that necessary? Shiryuki. No, she said with a mischievous attitude while sticking out her tongue. Issei. Don't let X find out or you'll kill him. Issei. Alright kid, it's time for you to take the exam and become a hero. Izuku. Yes, thank you. The boy ran off towards the train, where it would take him to his destiny of becoming a hero, leaving the 2 demons in place. Issei. Why didn't you tell him you were taking the test? You could have taken him with you. Shiryuki. It will be a huge surprise that Hana and I will give him without further ado. The girl disappeared from the place, leaving the brown-haired boy alone. Issei. Just like their grandmothers, he said in a funny way as he disappeared from the place. What awaits our protagonist with these events in his life? Chapter 3. The Entrance Exam. UA Academy. The sky shines around me. Sorry, wrong universe. Now, we're near one of the most prestigious hero academies in all of Japan. I'm referring to the #1 school in Japan for becoming a hero. UA. But we'll focus on our protagonist, who had just enough time to arrive and find his spot to take the entrance exam. Izuku. So you're telling me that, as a demon, my body has become even stronger. Drake. Indeed, partner, having already given a part of your body when you were a human, added to the fact that you have been reincarnated as a demon, your chances of passing this simple exam are high, he said to him inside. Izuku. In fact, I feel like my senses have gone off, he said upon hearing a small conversation between 2 girls who passed by him and said that he looked very cute, which caused him to blush. Drake. Just don't get distracted, remember what your goal is right now, he commented while praying that he wouldn't resort to breasts to strengthen himself. Izuku. Well, let's not waste any more time, and at that moment he managed to look through his blind spot, where an ash blonde girl approached with the intention of pushing him, but he managed to move aside. Hey, what did you intend to do, Bakugu-san? Pitsumi. Bakugu-san. She said to herself, thinking about where the cat-chan who always told her it doesn't matter, what are you doing here Deku? Izuku. That's none of your business, and you'd better stay out of my way at that moment. His eyes changed from having a round pupil to a straight one. I'm not in the mood. Pitsumi. Stupid Deku, he said simply as he walked towards the main building. Izuku. What was that? Greg. Well, since I share this space with you, I observed in your memories how that girl bothered you, so it's better to make things clear, you don't mess with a dragon. Izuku. That sounds good to me, the boy replied to his tenant, but at that moment he felt like he had lost his place. Greg. One was perverted and the other is clumsy, he said to himself as he saw his partner fall to the ground from tripping. It would be a shame to start our journey to becoming heroes this way, said a voice softly. Izuku. What? I didn't fall. He looked to his side and noticed that there was a person standing next to him. Sorry for using my quirk on you, but it wouldn't look good if you fell like this. The girl gently put the green-haired boy on his feet, then touched the tip of his fingers and they released a pink ray. There, I've freed you. Izuku. Thank you very much for the help. He gave her a quiet smile of gratitude, which caused the girl to blush. Girl. This is nothing. The girl ran into the building. See you. Izuku. What was that? Greg. Nothing, just the charms a dragon can have on the opposite hex. Izuku. Okay. What I didn't notice was that two girls had seen that interaction, causing an aura of jealousy around those who passed by. Hana. Ara. It didn't take long for Izuku-kun to become comfortable with girls, Yufufu. Shirayuki. That perverted dragon, I commented in an unfriendly voice. We'll see later. Hana. We can't get like this yet, remember that you're only his mistress, not his girlfriend. The redeed, just like her grandmother when she blushed, you couldn't tell where her hair ended and her face began. Shirayuki. It's better to go see about the entrance exam, said the girl as she entered with her cousin, who was only smiling at the scene she saw. Exam room. The theoretical portion of the entrance exam was over. Thanks to Roswis's help, the freckled boy had been one of the first to finish the exam, which even made people think he'd dropped out due to the time it took. But the examiner was surprised to find he had already answered everything. Now it was time for the practical exam to be able to enter the heroism class. The candidates were in a large room where the focus of attention was on the person at the front of the room. Izuku. It can't be, he commented in a low voice as he took out his notebook from a pocket space that no one noticed and began to take notes. I can't believe it's him. Greg. What are you talking about, mate? Izuku. The hero giving the explanations is present Mick, a hero who uses his voice as a weapon, the boy enthusiastically wrote in his notebook. Present Mick. This is how the practice exam is set up. At that moment a boy raised his hand from where he was sitting. Tell me. You were talking about how there are 3 obstacles we must overcome, but in the brochure you show silhouettes. It's a shame that institutions like this can't clarify all this in the brochure they give. Also at that moment I look where our freckled boy was, who was at that moment talking with his partner. You boy should pay attention to what they say, it's clear that you're not interested. Izuku. Excuse me, did you say something? He said with little interest in what the boy said. Besides, I think they were going to say something about what you're asking. I think, so the one interrupting is you. The boy who had interrupted just got nervous because that really happened, to which with shame on his face he simply sat down. Present Mick. Well, as I was saying, in this exam it's about defeating villains. There are 4 types of robots, the first 3 give from 1 to 3 points, but that's what I was getting at, he said, while showing the 4th silhouette. This is the 0 points, just ignore this robot. Izuku. I feel like there's some kind of trap here, he thought to himself. Greg. You're right, mate, I'm very suspicious of that 4th figure. Why would they put it there? They both pondered the robot's potential, but they put it aside when they were called to board the buses that would take them to the place where they would take the practical exam. After several minutes, and of course, after putting on some sportswear, the boys were ready to do the second activity that would give them access to the School of Heroes. We see our green-haired boy a little focused. Izuku. You must remember what Shirin-sama and Issei-san told you during training. Flashback. Shirin. Those are my sweets, she said while knocking out our green-haired boy who was taking a sweet from a kitten-shaped cup. End of flashback. Izuku. Not that idiot, he said to himself as his face turned blue. Flashback. Shirin. You must remember, Izuku, when fighting do not waste all your energy in one hit, always try to observe the entire situation you are in. For example, in a raiding game where you must overthrow the king, the first thing is to hit the pawns and defeat them. With them out, it is easier for the situation to be favorable in your favor. Izuku. But in the life of a hero. Issei. That would apply to always focusing on the easiest opponents. For example, if there's a villain and he has lower level henchmen, go after the henchman first, so the main villain realizes his numerical advantage is diminishing. Izuku. Oh. End of flashback. Izuku. Then I should focus on the 1 and 2-point robots, those would be the henchmen. If I have the opportunity I will go for the 3-point ones. That boy talks to himself, he must be crazy, said the boy who interrupted the explanation of the practical exam. At that moment the doors of the exam began to open, without any announcement. Greg. Come on buddy, we gotta pass that test. Izuku. Good. Without waiting for anything else, the boy ran away while materializing his glove on his left hand and began destroying every robot he saw in his path. The others stood there like idiots seeing the boy's reaction, waiting for him to be reprimanded or expelled for that action. Present Mick. What are you waiting for? A sign. Run, that's the life of heroes. Hearing this, the boys paled at the huge advantage the green-haired man already had, so they quickly entered to take the practical exam that had already begun. While this was happening at the exam venue, several people were gathered in a central building, attentively watching what was happening on the screens in front of them. They were none other than the UA teachers, who were closely watching the practical exam. Wow, I'm impressed by the candidates who are running this year, commented a rodent in a suit. I'm really drawn to the explosion girl, commented a girl in a tight suit. I'm really drawn to the red-haired girl who throws those black rays, said a lazy-looking man. I like the girl who throws yellow rays, commented a large guy. But among those present was the hero who had helped Izuku almost a year ago. Almight. It's not possible, the same boy told me that I didn't have a quirk, he said in a low voice while watching on the screen how Izuku continued to hit the robots near him. What they didn't notice was that in that room there was a small bat with a face, which was also looking at the exam screen. Issei's mansion. We see our chestnut-haired man lying in a huge bed, which he shared with all his wives. We can imagine that the gentleman had finished his morning routine of pleasing his wives, who all wore smiles of satisfaction. Rias. I can't believe that school has such poor security, look how my relative walked in like nothing happened. Issei. That's the least of it, so we can see how the kids are doing on the exam. The Keno. Ara, my granddaughter is the one who has the most points, it seems that she is stronger than her king. Rias. I can tell Shirayuki is holding back and not wanting to draw attention to herself, she commented defiantly while looking at Akeno. Issei. Calm down girls, he said as he drew them to his side and playfully took hold of their chest. Shirin. The fruit of our training is evident, she commented as she watched Izuku fight. Zenovia. But this is too easy, don't you think? Irina. I think the same, I say there is something else. Asia. What do you think, Issei-san? Issei. We'll see what happens, the boy commented as he continued to observe the exam. Observation room. I think it's time, the rodent commented as he pressed a red button. Practical exam. We see our green-haired boy breathing heavily, next to him was a pile of robots, among which were 2 and 3 value points. Izuku. I think I'll pass the exam with ease, he said to himself. At that moment the whole place started to shake, buildings were being demolished, which caught everyone's attention. Subject 1. Run at 0 points. The green-haired boy watched the huge robot that was appearing. Izuku. What is that thing? Greg. We better go, if that thing won't give you points it's not worth fighting him. The green-haired boy accepted that suggestion and began to run to find shelter, but at that moment a muffled scream reached his demon ears. Help please, please. The green-haired boy stopped walking and searched the entire place when a pile of rocks caught his eye. Buried within them was the girl who had helped him avoid falling at the school entrance. Greg. Partner. Izuku. Start charging Drake, I'm run out of energy, but we must help her, he said as he ran towards where she was, and of course 0 points. The others just watched the boy's actions. Applicant 1. He's crazy, that thing is going to kill him. Applicant 2. Why take the risk if you're not going to get points for that thing? The boy who had interrupted the explanation of the exam also looked at Izuku's action. Boy. What's wrong with that guy? At that moment I saw a figure lying on the floor, unable to move from where it was trapped. The others were just running to protect themselves from the robot's attack, but at that moment a sound caught their attention. Boosted, 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 boosted. The glove on Izuku's left arm began to emit a green glow, the same color as the gem on it. Izuku. I hope it works like Akeno-sama told me. Flashback. We find ourselves in the magical power training that Akeno was showing to Izuku. Akeno. Let all your power flow through your body and reach a point of concentration, which in this case would be your glove, she commented, while demonstrating her rays. Once you put them together, release them continuously. The freckled man nodded and started with a few charges of his power. Izuku. I can handle 4 charges right now. Issei. No problem, now release that power as if it were Akeno's lightning, but of course you must adapt it to your style. The green-haired man nodded, and a small crimson beam shot from his hand, shooting at the practice object on the beach. It simply fell off the mound where it had been placed. Issei. Well, it's progress. As you adapt to Drake's power, you'll be able to improve your lightning. Izuku. I'll try. End of flashback. The freckled man jumped as best he could at the objects that the robot threw at him as it got closer and closer. Drake. Come on, buddy, when you see the opportunity. Izuku. I throw it. He finished his partner's sentence as he observed a gap, a space of time where the robot didn't pay attention to the green-haired man. Good now. Explosion. A huge crimson beam shot out of the glove, hitting the robot's chest directly, resulting in a huge hole in it. In the observation room, the teachers were shocked by the attack the green-haired man had carried out. The silence was so great because of what they had seen. As for the chestnut's room, Issei only had a satisfied smile. Issei. Not bad kid, he said while his wives nodded. On the other hand, in the area where Hana and Shigaraki were taking the exam, they looked up at the sky, noticing how that lightning bolt passed over their area. Shigaraki. I finally made it, she commented with a smile while her cousin nodded. Both the brunette and the robot fell backward, one from exhaustion, while the other, well, had a hole in the middle of his chest. At that moment, an alarm sounded in the room. Boys. The exam is over, thank you for your participation, in a few days you will get your results at home. That was the announcement that came from one of the speakers in the place. After finishing the announcement, several robots came out to help the students who had been injured. Who needs medical attention? Said an elderly woman's voice, who was passing by. Izuku. There, a girl is stuck, commented this one who as he could pointed to where the trapped girl was. Two robots approached the scene to help the girl, removing the debris that had trapped her, and then she was helped by the old woman wearing a doctor's gown. Well, it was just your leg, but you're healed now. Thank you very much, the girl replied, somewhat tired. Well, now it's your turn, boy, she commented as she approached the freckled man who was lying on the ground exhausted. Izuku. Please wait a moment, he said upon seeing the doctor who had approached. You are Recover Girl. Recover Girl. Wow, I'm still known among the young people. Izuku. You have a Poe. The boy didn't finish speaking, since upon receiving the doctor's kiss he fell exhausted from using so much energy. Will it be okay? Recover Girl. Don't worry, he's probably just tired from the exam. It's better if you go home and rest. We'll take him to the infirmary. The girl nodded, but still looked at where our protagonist was, whose tiredness was evident on his face. The girl's worried expression was evident. Later. At Issei's mansion, we see the brown-haired man, his wives, his two granddaughters and of course his new friend and companion, Izuku, enjoying a nice dinner that the chefs of the place had prepared. Issei. Well done kid, it's clear that these months of training have paid off, he commented in a kind voice, while raising a little wine. Izuku. How do you know that? Rias. Well, let's just say the advantages of being a devil are having a contract with familiars, she said as a small bat landed on her shoulder. With them we can see and spy in some places. Izuku. Will I have one of those too? Shigaraki. In fact, she said as she went to his side and stood behind him. Tomorrow, if you don't have anything to do, we'll go to the family forest. What do you say? Izuku. Yes, I would like to, he answered happily, which made the girl blush. So you are the boy who wants to steal my daughter's heart, said another voice in a serious and threatening manner that was at the door of the dining room. The freckled man paled at the tone of voice, so he started to sweat, but. 5. Rias. Don't scare the poor child like that and behave yourself, being a jealous father is not your thing, she said, while taking a huge mallet off the newcomer. It was none other than his first son with the brown-haired boy, Gremory, the current leader of the Gremory house. X. Mother, why are you hitting me? Rias. For scaring the idiot kid, she said angrily. Issei. Now they've shut you up, son. Asia. Issei-san, you were the same with our sons-in-law, his wife commented seriously. You don't remember how you behaved the day they came to invite Irie. Flashback. We see our chestnut next to Volley in the trophy room that was in the mansion of the Haidu house. Issei. This is not possible, an idiot comes for my baby for her first date, he said angrily as he went to the main door, where a knock was heard. This was seen by Volley, who had golden apple liquor in his hand. Issei. Who the hell are you? He asked angrily as he violently opened the door. Issei-sama, Soyaruma. Issei. What are you doing here? Iruma. I'm here to pick up Irie, he said in a low voice, and with all the pain in the world. Issei. What did you say? Iruma. I'm here to pick up Irie. Issei. 2 Edited. Iruma. 15 years old, sir. Issei. Well, you look about 30, he said angrily since the boy was taller than he looked. Let's see, your ID. Iruma. This I don't have it, sir. Issei. You don't have it. He takes him by the back and places him against a wall. Put your hands on that wall. As a policeman he began to inspect if he didn't have something with him. What's your problem? You think you know everything, juvenile delinquents. The girl's father continued with his inspection. Do you have a touch? Iruma. No sir. Issei. Do you smoke drugs? Iruma. No sir. Issei. Do you want my daughter to get hooked up with that thing? Ali. Haidu, who's at the door? Issei. S. Iruma. Ali. Who the hell is Iruma? I asked angrily and somewhat drunk. Issei. He comes to pick up Irie. Ali, bottle in hand, arrived at the main door of the mansion. Ali. What's up, old man? Iruma. I'm here to pick up Irie. Ali. Do you have a name? Iruma. Iruma, sir. Ali. I heard this kid say your name is Iruma. Are you here for Irie? Iruma. Yes, sir. Ali. How old are you? Iruma. 15 years old. Ali. 15. You look 30. Issei. He is Vali. Ali. Do you know how to fight? Iruma. Why yes, sir. Ali. If you fight. Iruma. Aha, he said with little fear in answering. Ali. Don't tell me you know how to fight. Look at you like an attacking dog. She wanted to launch herself at the boy. Issei. Vali, don't bother him. Ali. No, he doesn't even know how to wipe his nose. If someone wants to take my niece out, I want to know if the bastard knows how to fight, okay, because I could say something to him, and if he doesn't know how to fight, okay, she won't go. The albino was so angry that he wouldn't let the brown-haired boy speak. Issei. He's Irie's godfather, alright, he just got out of Asgard prison. Ali. Why are you displaying my problems on the street? I asked angrily. The brown-haired boy was trying to talk to the boy, who at this point was scared to death of the situation. Ali. I just at that moment he made his full armor appear and started threatening the boy with it. Got out of jail, and I'm not going back, I'm not going back. The boy was terrified. In front of him was the strongest white dragon in history. Ali. What's up, man? Don't be scared, you've never seen this armor before. Issei. Stop threatening him with your armor, said the boy seriously. Ali. Hey, old man, he said threateningly to the brown-haired boy, don't disrespect me when we're in company. Then he turns to look at the boy while threatening him by pointing his arm at him. Old man, you grew as stupid as a vine, like Michael. Issei. Vali, deactivate your armor. Jews. Crisp. Iruma. No. Ali. Move it, old man. Get out of here. If I see your face again, I'll put a lightning bolt in you. Issei. Come on, stop it and calm down. At that he looked seriously at the boy. Listen, I want my daughter at 10 with me. If she's not home by then, I'll put on my armor. Yes, I'll have several loads ready, and you're going to regret being born. Yes, did you hear me? Tell me if you understood. Iruma, the brown-haired boy commented angrily, to which the poor boy nodded with fear on his face. Ali. And if I'm, do you know what's going to happen? Already if his armor simply shook his hand in the boy's face. Chiri, bam, bam, that's going to happen. Asia. Issei-san. Shouted the blonde wife and part of the church trio, who arrived with her beautiful daughter at her side. Iruma, I'm so sorry, please forgive Ira's father and his stupid friend. The albino just made a face of disgust when he saw the girl arrive. Issei. Are you a virgin? Iruma. See. Issei. Well, keep it up, because there will be no action tonight, said the brown-haired boy angrily. Asia. Iruma-san, what a nice shirt you're wearing, go have fun. Ali. Have you slept with a man? Iruma. No. Ali. And you want to? Iruma. No sir. Irie. Goodbye Uncle Vali. The brown-haired boy just stared at the boy. Irie. Dad comes into the house. To say that the boy already had a terrified face was to say the least. He was just waiting for the moment to leave the mansion to have the date with Issei's beautiful daughter. End of flashback. Issei. Don't even remind me, who would have thought that walking toothpick would marry one of my beautiful daughters? X. Whatever, I just won't let them hurt my beautiful daughter. Issei. Well, what is the reason for your visit? X. It's true. At that moment she takes a piece of paper out of her purse with a grimace of disgust. Someone wants to marry my beautiful daughter, and I'm sending an engagement request. The aforementioned girl just paled upon hearing that. Shirayuki. Father, you know that I don't want to be part of those ancient traditions. X. I know, but this guy is so insistent that he at least wants a date to get to know each other. At that moment the girl hugged her pawn, who was red with embarrassment. Shirayuki. Well, for that you'll have to know that I already have a boyfriend, she said with a confident smile, while giving him a kiss on the cheek. Cried Izuku-kun. Izuku? What? Hana? What? Issei? What? Rias? What? Ikeno? What? Asia? What? X. What the buck? The green-haired boy only received a look of hatred from the Gremory, who was stopped by his father and mother. Izuku? What the heck did I get myself into? We don't know what will happen to the boy, but one thing is certain, his life as a demon and as a hero will not be as he imagined it. Chapter 4. The first day at UA. Izuku's house. We see our protagonist looking at himself in the mirror while adjusting his tie. The boy simply found a new enemy, and this was tying that garment. Izuku. This isn't working, he said desperately as he removed the badly tied knot and threw her onto the bed. I'll go without that thing. Inko. Izuku, honey, it's time or you'll be late to go to the academy. You might be wondering, what is our broccoli with legs doing wearing a UA uniform? Well, for that we will go back a week. A week ago. After running away from Issei's mansion with the help of the brunette because his future father-in-law wanted to lynch him for stealing his daughter. The two had arrived at the green-haired man's house, who was still in shock. Izuku. Sorry, but what do you mean I'm already your fiancé? Shiryuki. Sorry Izuku, but I really need you to help me with it, the girl commented while hugging him by the arm, which made the boy blush. Besides, I know you like me and I like you, it's a win-win, don't you think? Izuku. Well Shiryuki. Also, I already know the risk of you carrying Uncle Drake inside you, so I let you have a harem, but as long as I'm the alpha of it without wasting any more time. The girl kissed him on the cheek. See you tomorrow, for your familiar's thing, and without waiting for a response from the green-haired man, she left through the same transportation circle. Izuku. What was all this about? He wondered as he entered his house, more confused than anything. The next night. Our green-haired boy, after a day of training on the beach alone, was reading one of his diaries in which he writes about the heroes he sees, but at that moment the Gremory family seal appeared in the boy's room. Izuku. What's wrong? Shiryuki. Hello Izuku, she said with a calm smile as she left the circle. Wow, now I see your room is more tidy. Izuku. Tell me, how can I help you, Haidu-sama? Shiryuki. Moo, I already told you to call me by my name Izuku-kun, she commented with a pout, but without wasting time she sat next to the green-haired boy. Hey, I wanted to apologize to you for yesterday and say that you were my boyfriend. Izuku. It's not that it bothered me, I commented with a blush, but why did you say that? Shiryuki. The important thing is that if I like you I take this one's hand and, on the other hand, I want you to help me with the engagement they want to set. Izuku. Well, I can't imagine being married to someone you don't like, and if it's for your happiness I'll help you. Shiryuki. Thank you very much, she said while giving him a kiss on the cheek. Well, it's time to go. Izuku. Where to? Shiryuki. We'll go get your familiar at the familiar forest, the girl replied as she stood inside the circle and stretched out her hand. Izuku. Wait, we should at least get out of the house so my mom doesn't get suspicious. Shiryuki. You're right, the circle disappeared and took the boy's hand. It's time to leave. Izuku. No wait, you. The girl left the room pulling the boy towards the living room of the apartment. Shiryuki. Good afternoon ma'am, Izuku and I are going out for a while, said the girl to the mother who was preparing dinner and watched as her son was pulled by the girl towards the door. We won't be long. Without further ado the boys left the house, but the green-haired boy's face of terror was noticeable. Instead, the green-haired woman who was preparing the food simply stopped cutting the vegetables and looked towards the door. Inko. When did he come in? She asked herself in surprise, then opened her eyes in even greater surprise. Wait, my son was alone with a girl in his room? Deity and the green-haired man quickly went to the family's forest, where the caretaker of the place was already waiting for them. For the green-haired man, unlike his predecessor, he quickly found his familiar. This one was a large blue bear, who the moment they saw each other entering the forest a click was made. Already having his familiar, and to be honest it had only taken an hour, both returned to the green-haired man's house, where his mother was already waiting for him at the entrance of the door. Inko. Come on, young man, it's time for you to explain to me what you and the beautiful young lady accompanying you were doing in your room. Shiryuki. Excuse me, let me introduce myself ma'am. My name is Shiryuki Haidu and I am your son's friend. I hope there will be something more soon. She said this last part with a blush, which shocked the green-haired girl. Inko. Well, why don't you go to dinner first? The green-haired girl commented with a smile, which the red-haired girl gladly accepted. After a few hours of dinner, the girl said goodbye to her family to take the subway home. Like any concerned mother, Inko sent her son to accompany her to the station. Although he knew how the girl had arrived, he didn't want to correct his mother and took her. He was only to be left outside her house for about 10 minutes, as the Deity, standing in the middle of the stairs and out of sight, went back to get a transportation ticket. Our protagonist thought he was done for, but he was very wrong. Inko. Now, son, the green-haired girl commented while sitting on the living room couch, are you going to explain to me what you and a pretty girl were doing alone in your room? You don't know the mistakes boys make at this age. Izuku. Wait mom, there's an explanation for all this. After a night where Inko gave her son a huge lecture about the risks of being a father at a young age, the boy was just counting the days until the entrance exam answer would arrive. 3 days later. Our green-haired boy was in his room doing some light training. Greg. Come on buddy, just 50 more push-ups to go. Izuku. Just let me rest for 5 minutes. The boy was concentrating on his exercises and didn't notice his mother knocking on his door for a while. Inko. Izuku, I respect your privacy by knocking on the door, but I reassert my authority as a mother by entering anyway, she commented while in her hands she had a battering ram knocking down the door. Here, I've got mail. By now the green-haired man wasn't surprised by anything. Izuku. I just hope to have my door by the afternoon, he commented while pushing his mother towards the exit of his room. I would like to see this in private please. She wanted to reply, but without another chance she simply left her son's room. At that moment the green-haired man took a breath and fearfully opened the letter, revealing a hologram. The video showed a person with dark circles under his eyes and a look in his eyes that made it clear he wished he were somewhere else instead of filming the video. Teacher. Izuku Midoriya, this is Izawa Shota. I just sent this message to let you know that you've been placed in Heroism Class A. Well, that's all. Without further ado, the video ended, leaving Izuku with an expression of confusion and surprise. Izuku. Well, that's good news, although I could have done it more actively. Inko. Son, how did it go? He asked his mother while sending a message on his phone. Izuku. Stay mom. Inko. Congratulations, son, she replied happily while hugging her son. Izuku. Who are you messaging? Inko. I think I went too far with your door, but you weren't responding, so I'm sending a message to have it repaired or rather replaced. Izuku. It doesn't matter, mom, I'll be a hero. Inko. The best of them all. Both remained in the embrace between mother and son as one of the boy's worries had dissipated. Current time. Our walking broccoli was ready for his first day of school. He was eating the breakfast his mom had prepared for him while he was cleaning the dishes he used, but something caught the green-haired girl's attention. Inko. And the tie. Izuku. Today I lost my first battle that the school gave me, he said with an aura of defeat. Inko. Son, that's not funny, now go put on your tie and… At that moment the apartment doorbell rang, where the green-haired man ran to see who it was and was greatly surprised to see his mistress wearing the same school uniform as him. Shiryuki. Okay Izuku, it's time to go to school. Izuku. How? Inko. Ara, I didn't know you had also taken the UA entrance exam. Shiryuki. Yes, it was just a surprise, he did a little about face. Did I surprise you, right? The green-haired boy nodded a little, dazzled by how the girl looked. Inko. Son, they'll be late, run and put on your tie and… Izuku. Sorry, it's late. The boy took his backpack and grabbed the Retied's hand, who blushed. It's time to go, see you in the afternoon, mom. Inko. No wait, put on your tie young man. The green-haired girl's replies were late and she just shook her head. This boy is just like his father, carefree. Ask. The pair had arrived at the hero school the traditional way, taking the train from the station near Izuku's house. For Shiryuki, it was her first time riding such a vehicle. Izuku. I thought you had already gotten on the family train, he said with some doubt at how impressed the girl was. Shiryuki. The truth is, we were mostly in my grandmother's territory, so there was no reason to leave. So this is my first time taking a train. Izuku. Well, be thankful we took the earlier train, since the one that leaves us on time is the most crowded. The boys were walking calmly, but they hadn't noticed that someone was waiting for them at the door. Hana. Ara, Izuku-kun, good morning, she said while giving him a kiss on the cheek. The other students who were passing by were red with envy when they saw that a boy was with two beautiful young women. Boy. Those first years are obviously lucky. Girl 1. Wow, what a hexy broccoli has arrived at school, I hadn't seen it last year. Girl 2. What class do you think this is? Girl 1. It's not obvious, she said, scanning our protagonist, since the uniform helped make his marked chest noticeable, and even more so because of the lack of a tie. He must be in heroism class. Shiryuki. Let's go to class. By the way, Izuku, what class did you get? Izuku. In class 1. And you? Hana. Wow, we'll be partners then, she said with a smile. The boys entered the school looking for the classroom, which after about 10 minutes they found, noticing one thing. Shiryuki. Wow, the door is too big. Izuku. Well, it must be because of the others' quirks. The boy knew that his childhood friend had also taken the exam at school. He only hoped for one thing. I hope Bakugo didn't get one in our group. Without further ado, the three entered the room, but the scene they witnessed caused grief in the boy. Izuku. Lucifer, why? What did he do to you? Ollie Castle. Our white rear dragon was sealing some papers on his desk when he suddenly stopped dead. Arthur. What's up, Volley? Volley? I feel like someone complained to me, he said, looking at his partner. Arthur? Well, get on with the work, you have to finish this pile of documents while I get the others. Volley simply slammed his head against the table, causing the papers to fall on top of him. Arthur? Well, now we must accommodate them again. Back with the green-haired guy. The scene he was witnessing was his old friend and the guy who bothered him during the entrance exam. Despite wearing a skirt, the girl had her legs draped over the bench with a smirk. It was clear her underwear could be seen, but she was wearing shorts that covered that area. Even so, her beautiful legs were noticeable. Hey you, get your legs off the desk, you must respect the academic material that has been given to us. Tatsumi. Shut up, you straight boy. Who are you supposed to be and where do you come from to talk to me like that? My name is Iida Tenya and I come from Same private school. Tatsumi. So a guy from an elite school, it'll be fun to take you down. Iida. Finish me off. At that moment, the boys from the Haidu family entered without attracting attention, which they failed to do because the boy with glasses went straight towards Izuku, who had an annoyed face. Iida. It's a pleasure to meet the person who managed to understand the point of the entrance exam. Izuku. Period. What are you talking about? Shirayuki. Didn't they tell you when you got your results? Izuku. Only one person with a noticeable lack of sleep appeared and told me to come in and that he was in class A and then finished the message. The others were impressed to hear that, since the other teachers had told them their scores on both exams, well, almost all of them. How curious, the same thing happened to me too, commented a girl with jacks hanging in her ears. Izuku. True, he just said you passed, and that's it, the green-haired man commented with great disgust. But all this interaction was seen by Kitsumi, who was angry to see that the Deity did not let go of the boy's side. Kitsumi. How did that Deku get into this school? And who is that girl who hasn't left his side yet? Hey boy with the wild green hair, it's good to see you pass the test, said a girl with brown hair and a permanent blush on her cheeks. Izuku. Ha, you're the girl from the other day. How are you? Much better after you helped me with the debris problem, by the way, my name is Ichako Uraraka, it's a pleasure to meet you. Izuku. The pleasure is mine, my name is Izuku Midoriya, he replied with a charming smile, which caused all the girls in the class to blush, including Kitsumi, but there was one in particular who tensed up a little upon hearing his name. Shirayuki. Mu, you already want to start your harem. The green-haired boy turned pale upon hearing that, luckily he said it in a low voice so that no one would hear, or that was the idea, because the purple-haired girl just gave him an inquisitive look. Uraraka. Let's hope we get along, she said enthusiastically. If you're looking to make friends, you'd better go somewhere else. A new voice was heard in the room, but this one came from downstairs. So those near the door turned to look at the floor, noticing a sleepy-faced person inside a sleeping bag, so go ahead and take your seats. The boys simply listened and without further ado each one sat where there was an opportunity. Of course Izuku got both Hana and Shirayuki to sit in front and behind the boy respectively. Wow, it only took them 8 seconds to take their seats, how unprofessional. Izuku. Will that person also be a hero? Greg. Dude, this guy clearly doesn't know his bedtime. Well, my name is Izawa Shota and I will be the tutor of this class. At that moment I take out a sports uniform and give it to Izuku. Well, I want you all to change, go to the patio. Without further ado, he left the room heavily, leaving everyone with doubtful faces. Patio. Class A was in the courtyard waiting for instructions from their tutor, who was arriving calmly. Izawa. Well, let's get this started, we'll start your new hero life with a quirk test. Uraraka. A test? Aren't we going to the opening ceremony with the other classes? Izawa. If you want to be heroes, we don't have time for such trivialities. At that moment the students were attentive to what their tutor was saying. Well, we'll do throwing tests, long jump, endurance race, strength tests, side jumps, upper body exercises, squats. At that moment he took out a ball and threw it to Kitsumi. What's your record at school? Kitsumi. 67 metros. Izawa. Okay, now try it using your quirk. The girl entered the test circle, began to stretch her arms, and then began to create small explosions in her hand. Kitsumi. Shine. Izuku. Did she say die? Izawa. Okay, each of you will take these tests. I want to see the beginning of your foundations as a professional hero. Wow, that would be fun, said a pink-skinned girl excitedly while jumping for joy. Izawa. Funny, huh? Is that what you think? Do you think you'll be a hero with that attitude in these 3 years here? The teacher's expression turned sinister. Then I hope everyone gives their best, because the last place will be expelled from the class. Now if everyone was shocked to hear those words, how was it possible that on the first day they were expelled? Izawa. It's time to start. Haidu's mansion. We are now at the Chestnut Mansion, where his granddaughter was checking out locations for her new base and getting started on the task of drawing up contracts. Issei. What place would be good for a base? Asia. Issei-san, I don't think a bar is ideal for boys, she commented upon seeing that among the places was a new bar under renovation. Issei. Well, we don't know how the laws for drinking alcohol have advanced in the country. Rias. No ice, they won't be there. Issei. Well, okay, I see an old burger place and a bookstore, so what do you think of these two? Rias. Well, I really like the bookstore. It's a bit more reserved and doesn't have to be serving everyone. Akeno. That's true, Anada, if they do it at the burger place they won't have time to make the contracts. Arena. Also, you can leave the pamphlets for the contracts there. Issei. Okay, so that library will be the new headquarters for contracts. Zenobia. Honey, a question. Issei. What happened? Zenobia. I was wondering about Izuku's case and his lack of physical power, the girl commented, which caught the other's attention. We know that his magical power is still basic, but his physical power is a shame to talk about. Issei. I wouldn't worry about that. Asia. Why Issei-san? Issei. Well, I gave him the same advice I took when I had my rematch against my brother-in-law. Ravel. Don't tell me that. At the academy. Izuku. How are we doing with that Dreg? Dreg. Don't worry, with your dragonified heart you will pass all these physical tests without any problem. The boy asked his partner while he was waiting for his turn to start the endurance race. Izawa. Okay, it's Midoriya and Iida's turn, please go to the start of the finish line. Shirayuki. Come on Izuku, you can do it, she said enthusiastically, greatly annoying the explosive blonde. But there was a girl who placed her hands on her chest. I'm sure it's him, she said to herself, I hope he remembers me, or better yet, he doesn't. The freckled boy was ready to begin his test, noticing the serious look on the teacher's face when he saw that he hadn't shown something of his peculiarity. Izawa. Okay, let's start. The boy ran off quickly, almost as if he could fly, since his feet didn't seem to touch the ground. Izuku. It's like I'm flying. Dreg. Almost mate, literally your feet run in such a way that they are not touching the ground. The teacher noticed this, and his gaze hardened. But of course, he came in second, since he was competing against the boy whose special feature was having motors in his legs. Iida. Wow, I did 4.5 seconds, but I'm impressed that he almost kept up with me. Izuku. 5.1 isn't bad, the freckled man commented as he sat on the ground after the race. Hana. Wow, that's fast. Shirayuki. It's clear that the training with our grandmothers has paid off. On the other hand, Kitsumi was boiling with rage. Kitsumi. That idiot, he had a quirk the whole time and he's been staring at me. I never thought it had a peculiarity. Shirayuki. Well, it's our turn, she commented while taking out some black fire wings. Hana. Sounds good to me, the girl commented as some wings also appeared, but these were made of electricity. Izawa. Okay, you too. His gaze was serious as he saw the wings they had. It's your turn. The teacher kept looking at the girls, noticing how their clothes had no attachment to take out their wings. Izawa. That's impossible, but. At that moment I turned to see the freckled boy who was looking at his friends excitedly. Izawa. It's possible that they are. The tests followed their own pace, with each of them giving their best to avoid being expelled on their first day of school. The last test was to throw the ball, and it was Izuku's turn. The thin-looking person with sunken eyes was spying on Class A's tests, but at that moment he was surprised to see Izuku, the same young man he had planned to help that day that broke his dream, standing there at the launch test. Ashinori. But if he told me he didn't have a quirk, does it have anything to do with him? Izawa. Okay kid, it's your turn, but I want you to listen to me. At that moment I grab him by the shirt, which caught him off guard. I want you to show your potential, I want you to use that entrance exam thing again. The teacher let him go and sent him to the test circle, at which point our protagonist looked at him seriously, but if that was what he wanted there was no other option than to listen to him. At that moment he summoned the crimson glove on his right arm, took the ball and began to pronounce a few words. Booster 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 booster. Izuku. This will be enough. Without further ado a crimson ray came out of his hand, causing the ball to fly a considerable distance. All the boys were impressed, Hana and Shirayuki had a proud smile, Kitsumi had an angry look when she saw that lightning, but with Izawa. Izawa. There's no doubt about it, the legends are true. Izuku. How are you, teacher? This showed the distance counter showing 1000 meters. Kitsumi. It's impossible that Deku has surpassed me. Damn you all this time. She didn't finish her threat as she was held by some bandages that came out of Izawa's clothes, also her explosions had stopped abruptly. Izuku. I know who you are the Eliminator hero Racerhead. Uraraka. Who? Iida. I hadn't heard of him. Izuku. He is a hero who normally works at night and does not like to attract attention. His power is to eliminate the peculiarities of others while they are within his sight. Izawa. Please stop being so explosive, my eyes are getting irritated at that moment. He released the girl. Well, the tests were over at that moment. The list of the scores that the students had obtained was shown, leaving in last place a girl whose clothes were visible because her body was invisible, her name Toru Hagakure. Toru. New. Izawa. Okay, it's time to go to class. He started walking towards the school and the expulsion. It was a lie, he said with that sinister smile, causing everyone to fall to the ground. It was more than obvious that it was a lie, commented a girl with black hair and a ponytail and large breasts. Jiro. Wow, Yamomo, you always knew that expulsion was another test. Upon hearing her name, the girl tensed. She looked at the freckled man, whose expression turned serious, and without saying anything else he left for the main building, which caused her to put on a sad look. Hey, did I say something wrong? The girl denied it while looking where the freckled man was going, who was followed by the girls who accompanied him. Later. Classes had ended and the freckled boy didn't even want to stay at school any longer since he had received a message from Shiryuki between classes and she told him that they should go immediately to the location that her grandfather had told her. Shiryuki. Oya Izuku estas bien. Hana. It's true, you've been serious since that girl said it was all a lie. Izuku. I'll tell you when we arrive, yes, he commented while looking out the window. After a few minutes, the boys arrived at an old bookstore. Upon entering, they noticed a sheet of paper with Issei's mark on it. They picked it up and read its contents. Welcome to the hidden bookstore, the Haidu family's new base in the city. For the kid's first day of school, the freckled boy experienced a lot of emotions. Abandoned church. Inside the church we see that in addition to its neglected appearance and the fact that it was in ruins due to the neglect of religion at that time, there was a certain group of people, among them the UA professor. Izawa. Gentlemen, I called this meeting for a reason. What's going on? It's been a while since we've seen each other, since the legend of the Crimson Dragon was discovered. Izawa. Something tells me that legend is true. Chapter 5. Memories, the first test. Library of the Occult. We found ourselves in the city's new library, which was none other than the Haidu's new demonic outpost in the human world, commanded by Shiryuki. At this moment the red-haired girl had two people under her command as her servant. One was one of her cousins, Hana, who wore the queen piece, and the other was the boy who during the time she lived with him, knew how to win her heart. We are referring to our walking broccoli Izuku Midoriya. Izuku. Wow, so this is the work of a demon, he commented as he returned from his first assignment. Greg. I'm surprised, kid, that you were able to use the transportation seal by yourself without your master's help. Izuku. What surprises me is how disturbing people can be, said the blushing boy. Greg. Who would have thought you'd have the same luck as Issei's partner, he only got pretty girls. Izuku. But I had to dress up as a waiter and serve him food in a hexy pose. Shiryuki. Well, with this we have finished our first day. I never thought that distributing the pamphlets today would actually work. Hana. But neither my grandmother nor my father told me that this would be difficult, she said heavily, since her clothes came with baby vomit. Taking care of children is not my thing yet. Shiryuki. I think I have the right person, I just hope he's available. Izuku. It's true, I don't know anyone from your cousins, only Hana-san and your grandparents. Hana. Well, that's because our parents have taken the place of our grandparents. For example, my father is Kadre and Grigori. Shiryuki. You already know what my father's position is, she said calmly while taking a small cake. Izuku. So the grandchildren are with their respective parents. Shiryuki. Something like that. As you know, the girl sat down while inviting the freckled man to sit next to her. We supernaturals exiled ourselves to our world after the quirks became present. Hana. And with the state in which Grandpa Issei was found with the fight with that guy, it was decided that it was best to remain hidden. Izuku. That's what I still don't understand. Issei sensei is one of the most powerful entities. How come he was defeated? Shiryuki. That's what we don't know yet. In fact, they're still investigating that fight, but the guy has been missing for a while. Hana. There are groups from the Supreme Alliance of the Supernatural investigating, but with this quirk thing, the search has become more difficult. Izuku. I see, so your cousins. Shiryuki. Most are in the demonic underworld, some are in the heaven faction and others with their family in another city in Tokyo, the girl commented, but it is very rare that we see each other. Honestly, Hana and I get along well, because our grandmothers have been best friends, but with the others they have dedicated themselves to leaving the name or position of their grandparents and parents high. Izuku. I understand, said the boy while drinking some tea. Well, I think it's time to go home, they gave us homework for the first day. Shiryuki. That's right, we must hurry, the girl commented happily as she took the boy's hand. Hana. Ara, don't hog Izuku-kun for yourself. The green-haired boy blushed at this, but was still happy to be in this situation. The next day. The boys in class 1 were waiting for the teacher who would teach them the heroism class to arrive. Mina. I wonder who's teaching this class. Who do you think will teach it, Kirishima-kun? The girl asked a guy with red hair and shark-like teeth. Kirishima. I don't know, I hope he's a great hero. Mineta. I hope she's a beautiful and hexy heroine, he said in a lustful voice. Pitsumi. It'll just be one more extra for those who teach here, she said boredly while looking angrily at Izuku, who was talking with Hana and Shirayuki, and their group was joined by a certain brunette with a permanent blush idiot. At that moment the door swung open, surprising the entire class. I'm coming in like a normal person. Everyone was surprised to see the number 1 hero enter the classroom. Mina. Oh my god, it's Allmmigth. Mineta. That's his suit in his silver age. Izuku just looked at the hero and without being disturbed by his presence, he returned to his conversation. Almight. Okay, in this class we'll be building your heroic bases with battle rehearsals. At that moment several boxes popped out of the walls, so it's time to put on your hero suits and start the battle rehearsals. Pitsumi. Essays on. Izuku. Battle. The boys in the class were more than excited about their hero costumes that were more than ready. The green-haired man and his new group simply remained silent, which greatly dismayed the hero. Later. The boys arrived at a city, but it was within the school premises. Momo. Wow, this school really dedicates a lot to this kind of heroes. The boys were excited because they would finally begin their hero training. They were all beyond excited to wear the costumes they had designed themselves. But among those people, 3 boys were missing. Pitsumi and her uniform. Almight. Okay, we're all here. Ichako. Wait, teacher, Midoriya-kun and the others are needed. The blonde noticed how the 3 boys came with a school-style suit, but these had crimson finishes. I didn't find the Azazel Cup uniform, but for those who have read the light novel, you know it's something similar. Izuku. It's good that sensei let us wear his uniform when he won his first Azazel Cup. Shirayuki. Asia Abe-san and my great-grandmother Venelana were more than happy when we decided that we would wear this costume. Ichako. Wow, Midoriya-kun, you look like one of the characters from the first Persona games. Iida. That's true, you look a lot like the protagonist of Persona 5. Izuku. What can I say? It's my natural charm, said the boy jokingly. At that moment his gaze fell on his brunette companion's outfit, which greatly highlighted her figure. You also look good, Uraraka-san, although that outfit is a little tight on you. Uraraka. I know, it's a little tight on my hips. Mineta. The hero class is the best, he said with a perverted voice and bleeding from his nose. This caused the green-haired man to look at him seriously, giving him a death glare. I better shut up. Greg. That's it, mate, mark your territory. Almight. Okay, this test will be in teams of 2, one of heroes and one of villains. The boys were attentive to the blonde's words. The objective of this test is simple. Behind me is the building where a bomb was placed. The objective is for the heroes to stop the villains or touch the bomb before time runs out. The students were attentive to the instructions given by the teacher. Almight. Okay, for the teams we'll do it by drawing lots and… Iida. Wait a minute, Professor, I commented, raising my hand. Isn't it better for us to form groups ourselves? Almight. In the heroism race there will be times when you will work with people you don't know, so we'll put it that way, and that I take out a box where nothing could be seen. Okay, come in, and whoever has the same letter as you will be the person you team up with. So, each of the boys went through to take a piece of paper from the box. When it was Izuku's turn, he stood in front of All Might, who secretly looked at the boy attentively. Izuku. He knows if he looks at me any longer I'm going to die, he commented seriously without even looking at him. He simply took the paper and returned to the rest of his group. Izuku. Well, I got the letter B, now I just have to wait to see who will be my partner for this exercise. After everyone had passed on the screen, the letters and the corresponding role appeared. Izuku. Okay, it's my turn to be the hero. Pitsumi. What the heck? A villain? She asked angrily when she saw that her letter D was in the villain section. All Might. Now, let's start the exercise. Thus, each team performed the exercise, causing the freckled boy to become more and more serious when he saw that one girl in particular had not yet passed. The Haidu girl's turn had arrived, with Shirayuki as the heroine and Hana as the villain. Hana. Ara, this will be fun, she said with a smile as she stood next to her partner, an invisible girl who was nervous about this test. Shirayuki. Well, let's do our best in this test, Uraraka-san. Uraraka. Yes, I'm more than ready, said the girl determinedly as she stood next to her partner. Izuku. Damn, I hope I get Iida, he thought to himself when he saw that there were only 3 people left free, and 2 of them he didn't want to deal with. On the screen we can see how Ria's granddaughter entered the building with her partner through one of the windows. Uraraka. Good, infiltration successful, she said like a hero. Shiryuki. Well, we should go for the bomb on the 5th floor, but there must be some trap, so you should be alert to anything suspicious you see. Shiryuki. This will be like practice for Grandpa's raiding game, I don't plan on losing to that boar again. The girls walked stealthily until they reached the 2nd floor. Uraraka was walking cautiously in front when she was pulled back by the Deity. Uraraka. What's wrong? At that moment, a bunch of lightning bolts came out of the walls, causing the girl to break out in a cold sweat when she realized she might have fallen into the trap. Uraraka. What was that? Shiryuki. What is your power? Uraraka. I can make things float, although I haven't perfected it yet, and it can make me dizzy. Shiryuki. And that includes yourself. The girl nodded. You see the window that overlooks the alley, use it and float around there. Hana. Ara, I won't let the heroes win this game. At that moment she took out lightning from her hand, to which her cousin answered with the same. Shiryuki. Go and touch the bomb, I'll keep her entertained. The brown-haired girl nodded and left where she was told. Well, it's just you and me like kids. Hana. What do you think if we make this more interesting? Shiryuki. What are you planning? Hana. The winner will have a date with Izuku-kun. Deity just smiled defiantly. Shiryuki. Sounds good to me, I don't like treating people like prizes, but if it's to have a date with my green hair, I'll beat you. The girls looked at each other defiantly, and each began to launch rays from their hands, causing damage to the structure of the building. The others watched on the screen as the girls dodged and launched rays from their hands, surprising everyone. But the green-haired boy was red with embarrassment. Izuku. Again. Greg. Last month it was for the cake you brought, what is it now? Itsumi just stared angrily at the screen when she saw that Izuku's friends had great power. Almight. The test is over, the heroes win. The girls who were fighting stopped when they saw that one of the rooms in the building had collapsed, complete with a bomb, and of course an Ichako with spiral eyes had fallen on top of it. On the other side, the invisible girl's uniform could be seen on top of the rubble. Hana. I think we went too far. Shiryuki. Yes, but I won, she said happily. The last test was about to begin. All Might looked at the screen, observing that it was Team B against Team D. All Might. Okay, Tenya Iida and Kitsumi Bakugo will be the villains. The girl glared at the green-haired boy, who now had a look of annoyance. Izuku. So I got to play with her, great. All Might. Midoriya Izuku and Yaoi Rozu Momo will be the heroes. Well, it's time for them to go to the test site, the villains have 10 minutes to prepare. Momo. Midori. Izuku. Come on, let's finish this, he said seriously as he walked forward. The girl was only left with a pain in her chest as she remembered what had happened before. Kitsumi. So she still hates you, fine, one less nuisance, he said, passing by her in a low voice, provoking the anger of the girl with the ponytail. You might be wondering what's going on with the three of them, but for that, it's best to look at the memories from the film noir. Flashback. In the park we can see a girl no older than 4 years old who was crying. Girl. Mom, Dad, where are they? Child. Are you okay? Said a little green-haired boy who arrived at the place. Behind him came his mother running. Tell me, are you lost? Little girl. I saw a butterfly and I separated from my parents, said the little girl sadly. Boy. Come, let's go find your parents, they should be around here, the boy commented positively as he shook the girl's hand, who, although sad, accepted the gesture, and they went with the green-haired boy's mother to look for the parents. After about 15 minutes, the girl managed to see her parents, who happily ran to them, and they hugged her out of concern. Mom. We had already sent all the bodyguards to look for you, my little one, the mother commented while hugging the girl. Father. Thank you so much for helping my daughter. Child. I'm glad you're okay, the child took his mother's hand. See you. Girl. Wait, what's your name? Boy. My name is Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet you, he replied with a smile. Little girl. A pleasure, my name is Momo Yaoi Rozu, the girl commented while bowing. Hey, when I can come, do you want to play with me? Izuku. Yes, I would like to, he said with a smile. So every Friday, the children played in the park, where a gray-haired girl also joined them. It was none other than Kitsumi, who, to avoid losing her friend, had joined them to play in the park. But all this changed after the diagnosis the green-haired boy received. That day, he had arrived late to play because he had been bullied at school, and his mother had treated his wounds. When he arrived at the park, Ash and Momo were already playing, but the moment they saw him, their faces went from happy to disgusted. Momo. What's a Deku doing here? Izuku. How did you tell me? Kitsumi. They already know at school that you are a Deku, a quirkless person, it is better that the others know. Momo. Yes, my parents won't let me hang out with a kid who has no power, who's a weirdo, the girl commented as she stood up. Let's go, Bakugo, we have to go play somewhere else, said the girl as they left Izuku there alone, and he had teary eyes. This clearly caught the attention of all the parents, who at that moment Inko took her son and took him home, since he began to cry silently. Some time later, the ash-haired girl stopped paying attention to Momo and stopped playing with her in the park, that and with her parents' schedules, they no longer had time to come. During her elementary and high school studies, she began to hang out with more boys, but many only saw her for being the daughter of the Yaoi Rozu, not for anything else or well when she developed her body, many boys only followed her for that. One afternoon, she was crying silently, tired of being seen only for her physical appearance, and because of a bad event that happened in high school. Her cries were heard by her mother, who entered her room. "This is Yaoi Rozu. What's wrong, daughter? You've been like this since you got home from school." "Momo. I'm tired of people only seeing me for being a Yaoi Rozu or for my body. Today a boy touched me without my permission," she said crying. "Why can't I have a friend who sees me for who I am? I've never had a friendship like that." "Is Yaoi Rozu? And what happened to little Izuku? I remember they were friends, but out of nowhere they stopped talking to him, in fact, I always wondered that." "Momo. Izuku." The girl had a vague idea of that name until she related it to a nickname Deku. "This is Yaoi Rozu. And that insult." "Momo. It's not that, it's just that I remember that they had told me not to talk to that child anymore because he was a quirkless. Is Yaoi Rozu. As far as I remember, neither your father nor I taught you to discriminate against people." "Momo. Not you, Bakugo." The girl who hung out with us said that it would be dishonorable to have a Deku as a friend. At that moment she began to remember how that boy was the one who spoke to her, that unlike her kindergarten classmates who treated her more kindly or rather reserved themselves, Izuku was happy with her mom. "Was Izuku my friend?" "This is Yaoi Rozu. Well, for your age you were inseparable, now that I know the reason I won't scold you or anything, you were a child back then, but." "Momo. But. This is Yaoi Rozu. I don't know what they told that child, but from that day on he stopped going to the park. I remember well that his mother took him crying, but you were so happy playing that we didn't ask anymore." "Momo. So I pushed away the only person who could have been my friend since we were kids." "This is Yaoi Rozu. My child, you will see that sooner or later you will have true friends, and if life gives you the opportunity you will be able to recover that friendship with little Izuku when you get to see him." These words reached the girl's heart as she cried in her mother's lap. End of flashback. The waiting time was over and the test began. The green-haired man entered stealthily, being followed by the dark-haired woman. On the 5th floor was Kitsumi preparing his grenades. "Ida. Even though it's fake, the bomb looks so real," he said while looking at the object. Kitsumi. "Hey, tell me, does that Deku have power?" "Ida. Deku. You're talking about Midoriya." "Well, in the exam he surprised us all by defeating the 0 points with a lightning bolt that came out of his glove." This made the girl angry as she left the room. "Hey, where are you going?" "Kitsumi. You take care of the bomb, I'll go after that Deku." "Ida. What's wrong with him?" Back with Izuku, the boys entered the building, but the green-haired boy's gaze was only forward. "Momo. Hey Midori. Izuku. You go up those stairs towards the bomb, something tells me Bakugo will come after me." "Momo. But we must work as a team." "Izuku. You just listen to what I told you." I looked at the girl, but her eyes started to have a reptile-style line, which scared the girl. At that moment she pushed the girl to the ground while dodging an explosion. "Kitsumi. I finally found you Deku," said the girl with a crazy smile. "It's time we fix our earrings." "Izuku. I have nothing to do with you." "Kitsumi. Ponytail, the bomb is on the 5th floor, go and don't get in the way." "Momo. I can't leave you alone." "Izuku. You did it before, now get out of the way," said the boy angrily as he summoned Drake's glove. The girls were impressed to see him, it was the evidence they needed. Izuku did have a quirk. "Kitsumi. You're a liar, you always had a power," said the girl angrily as she threw another explosion. "Izuku." Damn, from his hand he launched a ray that collided with the explosion, causing the boy to fly backwards. "Momo. Midoriya. Izuku. Get out of my sight." He shouted angrily as his glove began to make a charging sound, passing by the girl without looking. "Izuku. Drake, we have to stop her with one hit. Do you think I can use another of your abilities now?" "Drake. As long as it doesn't involve breasts or nudity it's all good, in fact, penetrate can be helpful." The freckled man began to shoot rays from his glove while dodging the girl's explosions. Momo was momentarily in shock as she watched the fight, but more than anything she was saddened by how he treated her. However, this moment and place should not end the test, so she headed towards the floor where the bomb was. On the other hand, both boys were looking for a way to defeat the other. Of course, the green-haired boy did so without the intention of causing great harm to the ash-haired girl. "Kitsumi. Hey Deku, do you remember how my quirk works?" The freckled man didn't even bother talking to her, all he wanted was to defeat the girl and end the test. "Kitsumi. I'm talking to you, idiot. With Momo. The girl arrived where the bomb was, and with her quirk, she began to create several weapons, including a flash grenade. Momo. I hope I'm not wrong about how to create it, and with this I hope to win. Iida. I wouldn't be so sure, heroine, she said, appearing in front of the girl, who reacted as best she could and created a metal stick to fight the boy. Now that I know what your trick is, I won't fall for it so easily. At great speed the boy moved while throwing punches, which Momo managed to deflect as best she could, although one or another hit the target. Back with Izuku. Pitsumi. I'm tired of you ignoring me, idiot, now you'll see what it's like to get in my way. The girl took one of the rings in her hands, where it was clearly seen that it was a grenade. Almight. Wait back, Yugu Shaojo, if you do that you will seriously hurt your partner. Pitsumi. It will only happen if it is not removed. The students in the room were impressed by the act, but Shirayuki and Hana calmly looked at the screen. Uraraka. Do something, professor, or they're going to kill Midoriya. Pitsumi. It's ready, said the girl as she released the safety otherwise. Izuku. Well, I had time to charge some energy, so this will do. Burst. From both of their hands came both an explosion and a crimson beam, causing the attacks to collide and forcibly seek an exit point, which in this case was the ceiling. The power was so great that it destroyed the entire structure. With Momo. The girl dodged each attack as best she could while thinking of ways to stop or paralyze the boy. But at that moment, the explosion caused by the attack from below caused Iida to lose speed. Momo. It's time. A stun gun and some handcuffs came out of her belly, which shot Iida and made him fall to the ground. Fine, with this you're arrested, she said, while putting the handcuffs on his hands behind his back. The challenge is over, the heroes win. With Izuku. The girl had no visibility of what was happening around her due to the enormous cloud of dust that was in the place, but out of nowhere, she managed to see two emerald-colored eyes shining. Izuku. Now. Penetrate. One hit was all it took, and with Drake's ability to pierce through the girl's heroine costume, and with a blow to the stomach, she fell to the ground unconscious. The challenge is over, the heroes win. That was what came out of the speakers announcing that Izuku and Momo had finished the test. Izuku. Well, it's time to go back, said the boy as he left an unconscious Kitsumi lying on the ground. She only managed to see the freckled man leave the building, but out of nowhere her vision changed when she saw a little green-haired boy running with teary eyes. Kitsumi. Sorry, Izuku. Some time later. Classes had ended and Izuku's friends were heading to take the train home, this because Iida and Uraraka had joined the group and of course they couldn't go to the library that was based there due to the stamp. Itsumi just watched from another car like Izuku, and the girls were laughing at whatever they were talking about. And Momo, who was going back home in her limousine, had a sad look because of how she had been treated by the green-haired man. Momo. He remembers me and it's clear that he hates me, said the girl as she began to cry silently. My mom was wrong. The girl cried silently while on her lap was a book that her driver had gotten her from a new bookstore that had just opened, and on top of it was a small pamphlet. School classroom. In the school classroom, Professor Aizawa watched the videos of today's tests. He watched Hana and Shirayuki's matches, as well as Izuku's, seriously. Aizawa. I need to gather more information and assume that it's really them and they've returned. Chapter 6. Another day at school. Library of the Occult. After a night full of contracts, Shirayuki and her two dear had once again finished their work. Izuku. Going from being a hexy waiter to a tournament to choose the best anime girl. Are there really people who have this kind of desire? Greg. Be thankful that you haven't met a weird guy who dresses like a magical girl, yet he commented with a certain trembling in his voice, and who actually knows about magic. Izuku. Wow, you got different types of contracts. Greg. Not me, my partner in his early days. Shirayuki. Well, with this we have finished the day of. At that moment a letter arrived with the seal of the Grimory House. The girl took it and read the contents. It must be a joke. Hana. What's up? Shirayuki. They want me to have dinner with a noble so they can set up a possible engagement. Hana. And what did Grandpa say? Shirayuki. They objected, but the nobleman's father wants me to at least give him a chance. Izuku. What house is he from? Shirayuki. It says here she's from the Belphegor house, said the girl tiredly. Must be from Grandma's sister's side. Hana. I see, the one who still wants to keep that blood intact thing, she said heavily. Well, what can she do, knowing the grandfather, he will ask you to go only so that his wife's family does not look bad. Shirayuki. I know, she said, getting up quickly. We'll go with him and I'll tell him that I already announced our engagement, Izuku-kun. This of course surprised the boy, who spat out the tea he had been given first. Izuku. Wait, I agreed to be your boyfriend so we could get to know each other better and everything, but it's already a commitment, he said with some nervousness. Shirayuki. Don't you want to? Izuku. It's not that I don't want to, but don't you think it's too soon to be engaged? Shirayuki. Look at my broccoli. The girl took her hand and brought it to her chest, causing it to go from being a broccoli to a strawberry. The time I've known you since you arrived at Grandpa's house has made something awaken in me. The girl looked into the green-haired man's eyes at first. I saw you as a simple boy, but seeing how you tried hard every day, how you were with other people helping even during your training, and I don't want to say it, but your freckles are the most beautiful I've ever seen is what attracted me to you. The girl kissed the boy without thinking twice while he was in shock, but after a few seconds he reciprocated. Izuku. Well, he said, separating from the kiss. We still won't get married at least until we turn 18, said the red boy. Shiryuki. Sounds good to me, she said with a smile. Hana. Ara, that means I'll have 2 years to make my lover fall in love with me. Fufu. Shiryuki. Just like grandma, the girl said heavily. Then it's time to go to grandpa's mansion. The girl didn't waste any more time and took the two through a portal to the Haidu mansion. Haidu mansion. We met up with our oldest brown-haired boy in his craft room. Despite his age, he continued to pursue his hobby of building and painting model robots. This time, he wasn't alone. There was a blonde boy at his side, helping with his work. Issei. I already told you that everything depends on what your father and your grandmother say, the boy commented tiredly as he took off his glasses. It's not fair, Grandpa. Shiryuki and Hana are already going to heroism school, he said with a pout. I want to go to those classes too. Issei. Hildegard. Haidu, I know you, but you're not interested in heroism, he said heavily. Hildegard. But there were also other courses at that school, the girl commented as she took out a brochure. Look at that support heroes thing, it sounds very interesting. Issei. Let me see what I can do. Right now your grandmother Roigun's family wants at least one of you to get engaged to one of her heirs. Hildegard. Tell me it's not me, she said with a disgusted face. Issei. No, the one you want to see is. At that moment the door slammed, showing the Redeed and her pair. Shiryuki. Grandfather, I want you to call grandmother Roigun's family and tell them that I'm already engaged, she said demandingly while she had her deer behind her. Hildegard. Cousin, so you are the one who will have that ugly fate. Shiryuki. Hildegard, what are you doing here? I thought you were with my uncle Shin. Hildegard. My training is over, but you know I don't like those things, not like cousin Kirito, the girl commented. I see Hana is here too. Hana. Hello again, she commented politely as she walked past her cousin. Issei. I see you got dragged into this, Kitty said heavily as he stood up from his chair. You know X isn't going to like that his daughter is already engaged without his consent. Actually, father, I ordered dinner. Everyone turned to see a Redeed with glasses entering the room, who despite his age was being scolded by his mother. Rias. I told you this was a terrible idea, said the Redeed while pulling her son's ear. X. I just wanted to see if little Izuku could handle this responsibility of taking care of my daughter. Izuku. And here we go with a little Izuku thing, I commented to the air. I'm not that little anymore. Shiryuki. At least not in body, she said in a perverted way, causing nervousness again. Issei. What's the reason for dinner, son? X. I want to see the strength of this boy, to know if he is the right one for my beautiful daughter, she replied while adjusting her glasses. Rias. They did the same with Iruma-san, she commented, remembering how she had treated Irie's husband. Shiryuki. Father, I want Izuku-kun to be my fiancé. We like each other and we want to be together for the rest of our immortal lives. Greg. This sounds like a Mexican soap opera. X. And you, what do you have to say? I asked, looking at the green-haired man. Izuku. The Redeed took her hand and gave her a smile. I don't want her to be with any other boy other than me. Her eyes at that moment became like those of a dragon. And I will protect what I love most. X. The Redeed looked at him in great detail and then looked at his mother, who was red with fury. I want to see him. Rias. And what would that be like? X. Let him go to dinner and put all this stuff he's telling me to the test. Issei. Don't tell me you want a rating game. X. Not a game, but a fight, the boy said seriously. It was the same thing that happened to be with my wife and you when we were young. I feel that it would be a good family tradition. Rias. X. Sometimes you're so stupid, son, said his mother angrily while slapping her forehead. Issei. The dinner will only be a pure formality, and as such there will be no commitment, understood, said the brown-haired man seriously. We will see later about the announcement of Shiryuki's engagement. Shiryuki. Thank you, Grandpa, you are the best, the girl commented while hugging the brown-haired boy. Rias. So much fuss for this. Issei. Roigun-chan also asked me to make dinner just to calm his family. Even so, as the patriarch of the family, I was going to tell them that there would be no commitment. Rias. Look at them, she said, observing the green-haired man and his granddaughter, the latter being the one who hugged him from behind. She really likes the boy, he reminds me of us. Issei. It's just that he has a nervous look and the brown-haired man took his wife by the waist and took the opportunity to grab her butt and was a Ria's little pervert said the girl gracefully while kissing her husband. They could do that at least with me out of the picture. Issei. You're taking too long to leave, son. Ria's. Didn't you have a meeting today with your wife's parents? Damn, I forgot said the boy and without saying anything else he disappeared from the place. Ria's. I get that from your side of the family. Issei. What thing? Ria's. Being a little distracted, darling he replied and gave her another, more lustful kiss. Issei. Come here he said with lust in his voice, he carried her in princess form and they went to his room. Ria's. Oh no. The dragon is going to eat me she said amusedly while pretending to want to escape from her husband's arms. Hildegard. What was all this? Shirayuki. The grandparents playing as always. Hildegard. By the way, Shirayuki, is it true that you are in school in Japan? Shirayuki. That's right, my fiancé and I are in the hero class at UA Academy. Hildegard. I'm so jealous, I want to go to school in Japan too. Hana. Talk to Grandma Rina, I say if she convinces your father. Shirayuki. And if possible the girl commented if you want to join my nobility. Hildegard. I'll think about it but first I have to go to my father and grandmother. If they say yes, I'll tell you later. Izuku. It's time to go the boy commented we must finish the task assigned to us. Shirayuki. Homework in Japanese schools is very demanding, said the girl, bored. Hana. Well, it's time to go the boy said goodbye, leaving the blonde in place. Hildegard. Returning to the human world this will be fun said the girl as she left her grandfather's living room. Abandoned church. There we see several guys whose faces could not be seen anymore, including Izawa, who despite having a sleepy face was presenting some leaves. Izawa. Well, as we know our job is to find out if the supernatural world returns to this world again. Legend said that the last bearer was admired by many, especially by children. That's true, I still have the original videos of your show. Izawa. We must not stray from the topic the professor commented as protectors of the ancient alliance and its secrets, we must support the supernatural beings. But why so much urgency? It's because of the fight I had against that guy said a guy with a skinny body at that time, despite using all my strength, my teachers and I couldn't do anything against that guy. I remember the report said a female voice that day you suffered to be able to lock him up. He had a strength beyond a quirk, we still don't know what it was he commented while taking off his robes and showing a skinny Almight that's why, if it has to do with that world, we'll need all the help we can get if there's a possible return. Izawa. At the moment I have suspicions about 3 people, but we must keep a close eye on them and not jump to conclusions he commented while showing the photo of Izuku and his friends. The next day. We see the boys on their way to UA, Izuku was talking with his friends about how he became very interested in that path until he reached the school grounds where a lot of people were blocking the entrance. Izuku. What's wrong? Shirayuki. They are reporters. Hana. What happened? Uraraka. Good morning Midoriya-kun said the brunette coming to greet them those are reporters. What happened at school? Izuku. I don't know, but we have to go to school, classes are about to start. The boys watched as the other students were interviewed, or well, as best the reporters could. Reporter 1. Is it true that All Might teaches there? Pitsumi. Don't bother me extra said the girl angrily as she entered the school. Reporter 2. What's it like to have a class with All Might? Ida. I know he'll be able to pass on all his knowledge as a professional hero to us. Reporter 3. Why does your face have that scar? The two-tone boy just walked past without paying attention to the question asked. Shirayuki. Hana. Hana. See, low hair. The girl surreptitiously created a small electromagnetic field around the cameras, causing them all to fail at the moment. Uraraka. What happened? Reporter 4. No. All our work. Reporter 1. Fix this, idiot, we must have that exclusive from the UA. Hammerman. I'll do what I can. The green-haired boy just chuckled under his breath as he and his classmates entered the school. In the distance we can see a dark-haired girl looking at the freckled man entering and a pain in her chest was present. Izawa. With this settled said the teacher arriving at the academy it is better to close the doors and let no one enter. Reporter. Don't wait, we must too late, the academy door had been closed and it was not noticeable that it was a simple gate, the door was made of solid iron, a large barrier that prevented access to anyone. In the distance, a person could be seen watching the door, who hid among the crowd. Classroom. Izawa. Okay kid, I watched yesterday's videos and let me tell you that I'm satisfied with most of yesterday's results, but of course I have to give you some comments. He turns to look at the blonde Kitsumi. You have to improve your teamwork a lot and leave aside the personal. Yesterday you had a terrible performance. The girl just looked sideways angrily. Izawa. Regarding Midoriya and Yaoyorozu's team, teamwork and communication are essential. If an order is given you must support it and not remain in shock. I expect more from you Miss Yaoyorozu. The girl nodded sadly and lowered her gaze. As for you boy, you have shown to have good reflexes. Izuku. Thank you, sensei. Izawa. Even so, you must improve teamwork. The day will come when you have to work with people with whom you do not have a good relationship or some problem, but in the end we are heroes and our duty is to protect others, and if to do so you must work with the person you do not like, you should do it. The freckled man nodded as he looked at Momo, who also turned to look at him, but they didn't say anything to each other. Izawa. Otherwise, well done, I expect a lot from you. Students. Yes, I felt it. Izawa. Well, for today we will have an activity. Mineta. What will it be? Haminari. I hope it's something fun. Izawa. Today they will have to choose the class president. Students. A normal activity. Iida. But how will we do that? Uraraka. I suggest a vote. Jiru. But if we do that, the majority will vote for themselves, since we don't have the confidence to vote for someone else. Izawa. I don't care how they choose, just that this topic must be left for today, since I have to present the report at that moment. The black-haired man looks seriously at the green-haired man. Let me know. Iida. Well, then we have to vote, comrades, and whoever is chosen, we must respect the decision. So, each of the kids wrote down the name of the person they thought would be the right candidate on a piece of paper. After a few minutes, Izawa wrote everyone's name on the board and marked each person who had received at least one vote. After the count. Izuku Midoriya 5 votes. Momo Yaoyorozu 2 votes. Izawa. Well, with this it is decided, the class president will be Izuku Midoriya and the vice president will be Momo Yaoyorozu. The boys nodded at this result, well except for 2 people. Iida. I was the one who said that a vote would be the fairest, but I didn't think about losing. Kitsumi. 5 votes. Who voted for that damn Deku? Uraraka. I hope Kitsumi-san doesn't realize it was me. On the other hand, Momo was nervous since she would be working with her former friend so closely. Lunchtime. We see Izuku and company at a table in the enormous dining hall that fed the academy students, where the best foods were available to them. Izuku. I can't believe they elected me class president, the boy commented as he put his chopsticks aside. Uraraka. You'll do well, that's why I voted for you. Shiryuki. Dear, you must not doubt yourself at any time, I know you will be able to do that job, that's why I also voted for you. Uraraka. Dear. Hana. Ara, I think the same. Iida. I must admit that I also voted for you. I know you are capable of doing this kind of work, he said seriously, but with a positive attitude. Izuku. I thought you wanted to be the president. Why did you vote for me then? Iida. I know you will have the ability to guide us, although I thought that by proposing the votes I would get some credit or vote, but I see that I was wrong. Izuku. My past self would have feared being the president, but Ria-san taught me that we must always take leadership in any action. Izuku. Thanks guys, I promise not to let you down. The 5 laughed while a little far away Momo looked at Izuku, who had a charming smile. Momo. I really was a silly girl who let herself be influenced by those I considered friends. Jiru. Yeah Momo, what's going on? You haven't stopped looking at Midoriya and you can't even tell he hasn't touched your food. The girl then looked at the freckled boy who was laughing at what they were talking about at their table. Tell me, did he do something bad to you? Momo. It's not that, but for the moment I don't want to touch on the subject, said the girl dejectedly. Uraraka. Hey Iida, a question, you speak very refined. Do you come from a rich family? The others looked at the boy with glasses who blushed. Iida. I tried to avoid speaking that way and unfortunately it won't go away. Well, my family comes from a long life of heroism. Have you heard the name of the hero Ingenium? Uraraka. See. Shiryuki. No. Hana. No idea. This of course depressed the boy, but this was temporary due to Midoriya's reaction. Izuku. Do you know the hero Ingenium? It's rumored he has at least 60 people as his assistants in his agency. I can't believe you know that hero. Iida. Well, he's my brother, he said proudly as Izuku's eyes lit up. This caused the girls to laugh, which embarrassed the green-haired boy. But without warning, the academy's sirens began to sound in the area. Security level 3 has been breached, students please evacuate. Iida. Security level 3. What does it mean? Student. It means someone has infiltrated the school, we must leave. The other students ignored them and panicked, causing the emergency exits to fill up and everyone pushing each other to get out quickly. Izuku. What happened? I looked out the huge window and saw that the press was outside with new cameras. It's them, the press was the one who infiltrated. Shiryuki. What do we do? The freckled man thought for a moment and looked at Momo, who was being pushed. Izuku. Yayoi Rozu. Momo. What does the president need? Izuku. Quickly make a megaphone or something to get everyone's attention. The girl nodded quickly and with the help of her friend so that they wouldn't see that she exposed her skin, I think as requested. Izuku. Okay Uraraka, please remove the gravity from my body. Uraraka. Understood. The girl touched the green-haired boy, who jumped as soon as he felt light. Momo. Here. I threw the created item to Izuku, who quickly took it. Izuku. Listen. He shouted through the loudspeaker, calling everyone's attention. You shouldn't panic, it's just the press that was at the door in the morning who came in. Everyone looked out the window and indeed, in front of the press were the UA teachers. Seeing this, the students calmed down. Iida. Well done, President. Uraraka. Okay Woody, that's how you control the cattle. The green-haired boy blushed as he climbed down from the roof he had jumped from. Mineta. Shoei. Momo. Good job. Bye. Izuku. Thank you for your help, he said seriously, while returning the megaphone. We have to finish our food, it will be late. Seriously. He left, causing the girl to lower her head. At the academy's door were the teachers and the director, looking at the gate in a state of disrepair. Izawa. We must know who did this, it could be bad for our reputation. Present Mick. The problem is, how did they do it? What does Director Nezu say? An animal in uniform looked at the disaster while observing that the same cameras that overlooked the place were the same. Nezu. I don't know, but I don't like this at all. In the afternoon. The boys arrived at the library, which was being attended by Shiryuki's familiar, who returned to her original form when they appeared. Izuku. Blue, how are you, friend? He said to his little bear who was sleeping in a corner. Hana. Your familiar Izuku is very adorable. The girl tried to pet him, but he instinctively moved away. Shiryuki. It's that you do it in an abrupt manner, said the girl. At that moment she also tried to approach the bear and that in the same way avoided contact by hitting with her little claw this bear. Izuku. Don't worry, that's how he is, he said, a little embarrassed, remembering that when Issei called him and summoned him, he introduced him to his familiar. The same thing happened with the brown-haired man's wives. Shiryuki. Wow, so early and we already have the first call, can you go, Izuku? Said the girl while taking the paper. Izuku. Of course, don't delay. Shiryuki. I won't be going to the contracts today, I'll prepare everything for dinner tomorrow. Izuku. Okay, then I'm leaving, said the boy as he began to disappear through the magic circle. Cousin Shiryuki, so this is the new base of the Haidu family. At that moment the library door opened, revealing a blonde girl who in her hand held a staff made of gold. Shiryuki. Akari, I see that you accepted my invitation to be part of my peerage. Akari. A Haidu family nobility without a healer is not complete. Hana. So Grandma Asia convinced your mom to let you come. Akari. Yeah, being in heaven is really boring, I want to see what these times are made of since I focused so much on my training. Shiryuki. I don't think cousin Kirito will join, but Hildegard will most likely join. Akari. That's great, it's also been a while since I started training under Uncle Kiba. At that moment the blonde observed the sleeping teddy bear. Akari. How sweet. The girl ran to hug him and with that she threw herself at him, but he quickly moved, causing the girl to hit the wall. Cheating bear, whose is it? Shiryuki. It's my fiance's. Akari. Promise. Shiryuki. Come, I'll tell you what's happened this past year. The freckled man was appearing on the summoning paper, appearing in a huge room. Izuku. Wow, this is classy. Midoriya. The freckled man tensed when he heard the voice behind him, apparently the room belonged to someone who knew him. Izuku. Yayoi Rozu. The girl nodded with great fear. Shit. Chapter 7. Memories of the Heart. The USJ. Placearum. We found ourselves in a somewhat peculiar scene, as many find it strange to see that last weekend, both the president and vice president didn't exchange a word, and now they do. Momo. Please Midoriya-san, I need you to help me with my close combat lessons. Izuku. Yayoi Rozu-san, first of all I'm not that good at close combat. Hana. I don't think so, she said in a low voice. Izuku. Secondly, when did you take such liberty with me? Momo. Don't be so mean, Midoriya-san, after you did that to me there's no turning back. For the others this was truly strange to see, and upon hearing that phrase from the girl, the two perverts in the class had bloodshot eyes. Mineta. What did he do with Yayoi Rozu's body? Haminari. Cute guys are the luckiest. Hana and Shiryuki only had a drop of sweat on their necks because they really knew what had happened. But you might be wondering, what was it? Well, that's because of the contract they had received from the girl, but for that, you have to go back a few days. A few days ago. Our protagonist Broccoli found himself in the middle of the girl's room, who began to hyperventilate because not only had the demon summoning she had done according to the pamphlet she had in one of the books they bought her at the new library worked. Momo. Midoriya-san, are you a demon? Izuku. I wasn't supposed to appear here, the boy said seriously as he tried to return, but couldn't. This is ridiculous. Momo. What thing? Izuku. I can't leave until the contract ends or you cancel it, he said heavily as he sat on the floor. Tell me, what do you want to do? The girl remained silent for a moment, still not over the initial shock of seeing that her classmate and class president was a demon, but after that she saw the perfect opportunity to apologize. Momo. Can it be anything? Izuku. Sure, if you want you can terminate the contract and leave as soon as possible. Momo. Okay, I want you to forgive me for what I did to you. Izuku. Gladly. What did you say? Momo. You heard, said the girl seriously as she sat in her chair near her desk. Izuku. You want me to forgive you right now? After how you and Bakugo treated me that day at the park, said the boy angrily. Momo. Please understand, I was just a silly girl, I let myself be influenced by the words she said to me at that moment and… Izuku. And of course, the mockery and beatings he received for just being useless according to you or left aside. Momo. I suffered after that too, she said with teary eyes. After you didn't come back to the park, she didn't play with me anymore, she left me aside, then. Izuku. How could I possibly believe all of that? How do I know you're not lying? Momo. Please, that is my wish, that you believe that what I will tell you is true. Izuku. I can't trust your word, Yaoi Rozu. A rich girl like you, who has everything she wants and always thinks she's the best at everything, has everyone on her side, and lacks nothing. How can I believe what you say? Momo. But it's true, every single thing I'm going to tell you is true. Izuku. You'll just say it so I'll fall again, said the boy seriously. The companion noticed how a growing wave of negative emotions began to emerge from the boy's heart, and despite the fact that Issei had eliminated the curse from his sacred gear, it could emerge in another way. Greg. I know what I'm about to say will bring me back to Vietnam, but I don't want this kid to create a new curse of hate, he thought to himself. Greg. I'm going to regret what I'm about to tell you, partner, but there is a way to know if what the girl says is true, just tell me. Do you want to know? The freckled man stood still for a while in the living room, worrying the girl, but out of nowhere the freckled man looked at her seriously. Izuku. Is that your wish? For me to know the truth? Momo. Yes, said the girl with tears in her eyes, but nodding. Izuku. Okay, I'll do whatever you ask, but I'll make one thing clear to you. The girl looked at him with that determination. I'll do one thing, but you won't scream. Momo. Eh? Without saying anything else, Izuku took Momo's breast, who blushed deeply and wanted to scream, but was silenced by Izuku's hand. Greg. Using breasts for this kind of thing again, she said, crying while activating her former partner's ability. At that moment the atmosphere of the room began to change, moving from the girl's room to the scene of the park where they both met. Flashback. The boys watched the moment when the children played happily in the park before the medical tests that they would do to Izuku to check his quirk. You could see how the three of them played heroes, having imaginary villains thanks to the sand mounds they made. Momo girl. They are very funny, thank you for being my friends, said the girl excitedly while taking both of their hands. Izuku was excited to have made another friend, but Kitsumi's face looked annoyed. The scene changed, now showing Momo arriving first at the park, seconds later showing the little ash-haired girl. You could see that despite her age, she had a face ready to play pranks. Momo girl. Hello, Kitsumi-san. Kitsumi. Oh hello, she replied with a forced smile. Momo. We have to wait for Izuku-kun to play and… Kitsumi. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. The girl pretended to be sad. At that moment she explained to her about Izuku's results, and according to her, his parents would be upset if he had a quirkless friend, something that Momo didn't know, but upon hearing that his parents might get upset she went with the flow. After that, the girl's rejection of the green-haired boy was evident and he left the park with his mother crying. The 16-year-old Izuku watched that scene angrily. After that, another scene was shown, where Momo now arrived at the park and went to see Kitsumi and her friends. At first, the children rejected them on the orders of the ash-haired girl and, desperate for not being left without friends, created a ball for them to play with. At first, the children reluctantly accepted the ash-haired girl, but as the days passed, the toys no longer attracted their attention. It got to the point where the children stopped playing with the raven-haired girl, and Kitsumi took advantage of this. Kitsumi. Haha, you also lost your friends like that useless Deku. The scenes passed, showing how the girl felt increasingly alone despite having people around her. At first, they spoke to her about her power to create things, but later, she became the center of attention due to her development, going from a young girl to a beautiful young woman. One of the scenes that most traumatized Momo was when a boy from her high school had touched her butt without her permission, which upset and, above all, offended her. The last scene he showed was the conversation he had with his mother, where he felt like he didn't have any friends, and she reminded him of the friendship she had made with him, but because of Kitsumi's lies, she stopped talking to him. End of scenes. Both boys returned, so to speak, to the raven-haired girl's room. Izuku, who had his hand on her chest, slowly moved away. Momo. Now you understand, right? Izuku. I don't know what to believe anymore, said the boy angrily as he sat on the ground. Momo. Please, I ask for the chance to be your friend again. I believed Kitsumi's lies and… Izuku. No, even though it was a lie, you chose to leave and not ask, even at that age, telling me I was useless could be traumatic. The girl began to cry on the floor because she felt bad that even though she had shown the truth, there was no way the boy would talk to her. Izuku. But the freckled man turned to look at her. We can start as schoolmates, besides you are the vice president and I will need your help a lot. The girl looked at the green-haired man, who extended his hand. Izuku. What are you saying? Momo. I want to. The emotion was so much that she threw herself at the green-haired boy and hugged him, sticking her breasts in his face. She reacted quickly and moved away from the boy. I'm sorry if I agree to start over. Izuku. Please don't do this again, said the boy blushing and looking away. Well, since your wish was granted, it's time to pay. The girl was terrified, since it was true that she had made a pact with a demon. Momo. Are you going to want my soul? My parents' souls? My virginity? She said, trembling with fear. Izuku. That's not right. The boy responded angrily. My master and her family request payment with something of great monetary value, be it money or some object that has a good price. Momo. I see on his nightstand there was a silver watch and next to it bills with a monetary value of $200. Tell me, do you want the money or the watch? Izuku looked at the two offered objects. As part of the Gremory nobility, well Haidu, during his training at the dump, Issei taught him how to identify objects of great value. Izuku. I chose money, that watch is worth a lot, but it would be too much for payment for work done. Momo. So, I want to give you the watch. This surprised the boy. I want it to be a symbol that we can make up for lost time. The freckled boy was surprised by that answer. Deep down, he wanted to talk to the little girl who had once been his friend again. Without saying anything else, I take the watch from her hands. Izuku. Well, then I'll take my leave, he said politely as he went to the transportation circle where he arrived. Momo. One last question. The freckled man looked at her. I got this pamphlet from a book my butler got me from a new bookstore. How did it get there? Izuku. See you tomorrow, he said with a calm smile as he disappeared. Momo. Moo, he didn't answer me, said the girl angrily as she took the paper where she had the seal of the accepted contract, but at least I now have a contract with him. The girl smiled at that until something dawned on her. Momo. Wait. Izuku is a demon. Without further ado, she fainted in her bed, alerting everyone in the house with her scream. Current time. Momo. So, will you train me? The girl asked, approaching the boy so that only he could hear. Or should I ask for it as a contract? Izuku. Do what you want, said the boy as he walked away, but she noticed a small smile that the boy made. This was noticed by Kitsumi, who gritted his teeth in frustration at the girl's closeness. Kitsumi. How did he do it? Izawa. Okay, I want you to take your hero costumes. Today we will have a heroism activity, he commented while pressing the button to make the boys' costumes appear. Only there was one that wasn't ready. Midoriya, your costume is being repaired by those from the support class. Izuku. Okay, but what should I wear then? Izawa. Put on your sportswear and don't waste any more time, it's time to go. Iida. Where are we going, sensei? Izawa. Well, it will be quick. As heroes you must be prepared for all kinds of disasters, so the UA has a place where we can put all this into practice. That's where we will go. The boys nodded and without further ado changed their clothes into their hero costumes. Minutes passed and the boys arrived in front of a bus. Shirayuki. I'm surprised at how big this school can be. Hana. Although it's not as big as Izuku-kun's part of the land, this is big. Izuku. Terrain. Shirayuki. Yes, as part of my nobility, in the underworld you have a plot of land waiting for you. This surprised the boy. Each of the members of my entourage will have their share, of course, as long as they are not part of my in-laws. Izuku. I see. Iida. Midoriya. The boy came running when he saw that there was a commotion in front of the bus. As president of the class you must put, they continued, that the seats are assigned according to their list number. The green-haired man tried to see the interior of the truck from a distance, noticing that the seats were not arranged in a traditional manner. Izuku. I don't think it's a problem. He addressed his classmates well, form groups as you like and go take a seat. This outraged Iida, who was going to enter first to help with the order at least in that regard, but he noticed how the seats were arranged. Iida. I see, good choice Midoriya. Izuku and his friends took the back of the bus, next to them were the Haidu girls, in front of them Iida and Ichako, who put on a jealous look when she saw Hana and Shirayuki take the boys' arms. Can I sit next to you? Said a girl with a frog voice. The others turned to see, and it was her classmate Tsayu. Izuku. Of course you can Asui-san. Tsayu. Please call me Tsayu. Momo. Can we too? She asked, arriving at her friend Jiru's side. Izuku. I don't see why not, he said with a bit of mockery, causing the raven-haired girl to pout, but he sat next to Uraraka. Tsayu. A question Midoriya, your quirk is similar to Almight's, but why the use of the glove? This of course caught Izawa's attention, who surreptitiously glanced back. Another thing that also caught his attention was the ash-haired girl. Izuku. It's not similar, All Might's is about strength while I accumulate energy, and well, my quirk creates its own device to make it work. Hiroshima. Wow, your quirk is great, mine is just heartening, said the Deity while raising his arms. Mina. They also know that heroism is considered a popularity contest, said the girl excitedly. Tsayu. If we talk about powerful attacks, we can't forget Todoroki and Bakugo-chan. She looked where the aforementioned boys were, although Bakugo-san is always angry, she won't be popular. Kitsumi. What did you say? I'll be popular too. Tsayu. See what I'm saying? The others laughed on the bus, taking the girl's annoyance. After a few minutes of traveling on the bus, the boys arrived at a huge building with the initials USJ. Underworld. To be more exact, we are in Vali Lucifer's castle, where he is meeting with the other demon kings. These were Issei of Satan, Sarerg of Asmodeus, Sakvara of Beelzebub, Leviathan Razor. Issei's position had been created to maintain a balance between the relationship between humans and supernatural beings, and because of his merits, he should be given a position of great value. Sarerg. Well Vali, what is the reason for the meeting? Vali. Well, as you know, we recently returned to the human world, pointing to the screen where Issei's granddaughters were seen, but the renegade demons did not, they never left that world and have committed their atrocious acts. On the same screen, the photos changed to show dead humans. Sakvara. Could it be those villains that are in the world now? Vali. That's what I thought, but my youngest daughter investigated these murders at Haidu's request. At that moment a girl with the same hair color as her father appeared. I want to introduce you to my Princess Nanoi Lucifer. Issei. The only daughter who does listen to her father, he said in a low voice, causing his rival to look away. Nanoi. Thank you, father, he said seriously as he greeted everyone from a distance. Vali. He has been asked to investigate the cases, of course without being able to participate in them. Sakvara. Why? Can't we intervene with humans like we did before? Issei. Not these days, and it's due to one thing. A new photo showed several people with clear mutations in their bodies to the point that some looked like beasts. If you read the report that was sent to you, and of course after the attack I suffered, the quirks that appeared in the human world escalated to the point where everything was chaos. Razor. I see where this is going. I have to imagine that with so much chaos some restrictions were created. Issei. Indeed, he showed a new image where All Might appeared. The profession of heroes was created, and with it the use of quirks was regulated, so if you don't have a hero license, you can't use your quirk in public, and even if you have it, the use of the power is restricted to use it in duty. Sarerg. How do you know all this, Haidu? Issei. Well, that's because the current drag wielder has already been found and is studying to be a hero. The screen changed to show Izuku shirtless, but not looking at the camera. In front of the photo is Hana with flirtatious eyes. The albino looked at the photo and blushed, causing Vali to look at the screen. Sakvara. I see, so the new Crimson Dragon wielder has appeared. Sarerg. Hahaha, there's a new Oppai dragon, he said excitedly, causing Issei to get embarrassed too. Vali. Anyway, please tell the mass what the result of your investigation was, daughter. The girl was looking at the photo with blushes, and a little blood was coming out of her nose. Nanoi. Nanoi. Excuse me, father, said the girl while wiping her nose. In the short time I have been investigating and gathering information, I noticed that the murders of renegade demons had reduced considerably due to the use of quirks, but also for something else. A new photo appeared where only a black silhouette could be seen, which had been in front of a renegade demon, and then both disappeared. Nanoi. We don't know who this guy is, but he's not the only rogue demon he's had contact with, so we can only conclude that he's slowly recruiting them. Issei. We must be alert at all times, said the brown-haired man seriously. We don't know if it's a new enemy or if someone is planning something with the renegade demons. Razor. I see what you're getting at. Issei. Exactly, I will ask for your support with the new Sekiryu, he commented as he stood up. Izuku, unlike me, has an admirable spirit of heroism, but he is very new to this supernatural world. Sekvera. Have I reached balance break yet? Issei. Not yet, I've trained him for as long as I have, but he hasn't reached that level. Sererg. Well, I'll tell my children and grandchildren to go to the human world, let's start covering the world little by little again. Razor. I will notify heaven and the fallen angels, said the blonde seriously. We must have all the help possible from the alliance. Ali. Nanoi too. Nanoi. Of course I'll go help the Sekiryu, she said seriously, but with a blush. Ali. Wait, that's not what I was going to say. Issei. Thank you very much, that boy will need all your support. Sererg. Let's take advantage of the fact that there are already powers in the human world, so we will be less hidden. Issei. Just remember, you must obtain a hero license, that's what my granddaughters are doing right now by studying at UA school. Razor. So I would like to tell others to look in their respective locations to process that license. Sekvera. Okay, let's finish this meeting. I have to finish a project I left unfinished. The girl stood up and left the room in a hurry. Sererg. It must be another one of his robots. Razor. Well, we'll see each other another time, he commented as he left with Sererg, leaving Vali and Issei in the room. Ali. Do you think it's that guy you fought? Issei. I don't know, in fact, I still have after effects from that fight, the brown-haired boy commented while looking at his left hand, but if it's not him or he's allied with someone, things will really get bad for everyone. At that moment the albino-haired boy looked at his daughter, who put back the photo of Izuku from his training, then downloaded it to her cell phone and put on a perverted smile. Ali. Oh no, this one came out just like one of her mothers. Issei. Well, she is a succubus after all. Issei. The students in class 1 were impressed by the facilities the school had for this type of training. Izuku. It's incredible, the green-haired man commented, fascinated. Floods, landslides, fires, etc., said a new voice behind Izawa. This is a training space that I have created to simulate all the disasters that can be found in your cart, ultimate space for jams. Izuku. I can't believe it, he's the 13th space hero. Ichako. That's the chivalrous hero who helps in natural disasters, said the girl excitedly. He's my favorite hero. Shiryuki. Who is he? Hana. No idea, said the girl, causing Ichako and Izuku to fall to the floor. Izawa. Hey, where's Almight? I was told he'd be here for this practice. 13. They told me in the staff room that he had exceeded his limit and was currently resting. Izawa. That guy said the teacher tiredly. Well, for the moment we won't need his help, so everything should be fine. 13. Well, before we start I must tell you one thing. At that moment he made his power appear, which consisted of a black hole. As you know, my quirk is called a black hole, and any material that enters here, no matter what it is, will turn into dust. Izuku. An ideal quirk to help in disasters. 13. That's right, but this power in the wrong hands could be used to kill people. This said caused everyone to become serious these days. They have learned essential things from their teachers. With Izawa they learned the true potential of their powers, and with All Might the danger that it can cause when used against another person. The ash-haired girl just made a face of annoyance and looked at the freckled man, who was paying attention to the class. 13. On this occasion we will learn to use our powers for the good of humanity. This will be a turning point in your studies. Izawa was leaning on a railing watching 13's explanation, but at that moment something caught his attention. A black mist began to appear and increase in size, and from there a person came out, greatly alerting the hero. Izawa. Everyone stay together and don't move. The teacher's voice was one of absolute panic. 13 Stay with them and protect them. Hiroshima. What's that? Is this like the exam and they're fake villains? Izawa. Don't move, they are real villains. This alerted everyone in the place, causing panic among the students. Hana. Why do I feel an evil power in all of them? Shiryuki. It's not that, but I don't like something about Izuku, said the girl seriously as her hand began to shake. Izuku. It's your first time seeing this kind of things, right? The girls nodded. Okay, stay behind me. Eraserhead and number 13 said a being with a black cloud face. The reports we got yesterday said that All Might would be here. Izawa. So you were the ones who caused all the panic yesterday. Where is he? We've been through a lot and brought many to end his life, but his vision, despite being obstructed by a hand, focused on the boys. I wonder, if we kill his students, will he appear? Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.